sadi we di wo abrofo yenye bibifo ne de yeni tete ho na yeni na ho abrofo de wo mani nyina na kata enti broni pa no ena bibifo ebu o kwasea enti me pacho woni broni na ye adwuma translate kire broni no ba wo translate aka no kore no kade me ka no kade no ye ka men translate wo de in favor of you ma broni ne nte na nanimie because broni no abrofo na ya beto wo no wo mo kohia ye kuromfo na so wo ware bro wo ware Ghana ni bema so wo ware Ghana ni ba eya no mo te sese bi aboa wo kra o mo ni ntentem ye wo okra ne be ni ntentem enti mesramo enne enye ntokwa so me pamocha mo ntie me Abena campaign dwumadi a wodi ne nye ntokwa na mo ba kan wa adwene everybody feel free to talk kan wa adwene me do obi atam wa ha I don't tolerate that at me do obi atam me lawyers na me ne mo be ye adwuma me din kan lawyers ni nyina akasa ene ye ne different lawyers makoma 5 ene be ye adwuma de ye ne nana ye ne asofo ene be ye adwuma ene mo etiefo me nyansafo because nyansa ni ba ko 14 ene ba be ye adwuma ye bedi mra kanche mra pusu mra edware mra na ye de amane ne amamre enso ato ba bi e wo seda na ye yi amamre ne amane e de free mu enti mesra wo bibiara wo ba enye ntokwaso lawyers ni na me no obi akasa me ntimi nye judge na me ne lawyer emi kasa na mkache sa lawyer me ntimi nye judge because me koye judge ya me njeli obi ada enipa ye me mobo me njeli obi ada uko wi ade ya no ane se me bie do ama me se befa what uko di won samfo na wo ba me keka bi kire wo wi a me ntimi njeli me se besa ne ko what me se besa ne fa ne ko what judges bebre ede wo yaw ejeli nipa without nothing obi ko wi ade okowia manches adaka ba ko ni ejeli ni 10 years obi kokum nipa ni ejeli ni 1 year eye yaw o how bia wakomuda obi abi wi ade manches box bi emre bi etwam enti se wo wakowia manches box ni bi dia ene no afa so no de ejeli enti mimi ntumi nye judge enti mesre me lawyers mesre mpanifo a mo be kasa ne emotional mo mi ntunche na yentimin flow the way we want to because BBC yesua de efrim eye case study and then ye besua ekonomi ha yeku obi a ye stabi obi a asana mo brush ne wofo omo de to na omo sua the reason why ya nipa ne stabi obi what caused it eye dan and nipa ne kunu no yetimi sia no ekwan be ni befa so ebe sia no a ebi mabiem e case study ye chi obi de drugs e wura from hase na ye chi na ye hwekwan a ye fa so a wode ba ekwan a wo fa so timi memene ye e case study ye jeli obi kodi nsamfo e case study enti mesra mo me pamcho Ghana fo a mo hwe me mo wiase da bibiara medin e de abona campaign enye ntokwaso BBC a yesua de e de film ye nyina ye ni beda ho sabo wo enti me pacho o ka me ho share video no frɛ wo bi like it tap it ma mo share mo Facebook mo check gift stars TikTok YouTube and I say why Twitter mo Twitter mo nyina me chia wo bibiara ena no pe waka me ho me ma wachi me ma wadwene me ma akaba e de ba abonance campaign eso e time with abonance campaign Akwantuo Mu Nsem for wo so no dadwene wo ha wa mane hunu watete be da abonance campaign obi aju musika enra go for mu dia message so obi aju musika de mo do so papa obi aju musika e kwan papa so wobedi waba abrochire odo abehye dem se be botuntu be bo adwaman odo waba abehye dem ye adwuma no ma de usika yere guni boto wo ye adwuma for ye so nte wo kan niye me patcho for wo su be da bonus campaign ne mpanyifo e ya waresam aware a wo bi antumi nka e ba Akwantuo Mu Nsem a ye ka Emma Ewurade adom eye. What is say Ghana ni baby ewa huhihim. Ghana ni baby eyareda baby. Ghana ni baby ewuda baby. Me power chow. Wo di so ni wo ha wo dadwene ebeda bonus kimpia. Ye bi nyina ye ne mpanyifo ye beka na asam ne de ye atoye. Emo wo se beboa ne ye beboa ama atoye. Wo ba beka wa asam kira Akwantuo Mu Nsem fo a wo di kan wo court asabi na wo ndi pem. Nyansa eni ba akofo tirim. Akwantuo Mu Nsem ye wo mpanyifo ekuku dem. A wo mo bo Akwantuo Mu Nsem echidom. Wo beka wo nsam kira na betena ha ye nyina ya ba bo mu ebie. Enti Akwantuo Mu Nsem ni wo se ebegu obi ani mase. Na emom wo se de ye ni ye eba betuye. Men sembre no mama me kwan ye na men da me mpanyifo a wo bo ye chidom. But CMP himself aba. But CMP waba. Me frɛ wa wonfa mente wonka ana wa nya ma me pacho ma mente wonka ba bibiara bata CMP wo aseda piesie ene amopa mechia ba bibiara wo enchi akese enko na wo sebo so tutu obrebi Osborn na ba bia wo bia no anopa enchi akese enko emfa ma mo Akwantuo Mu Nsem echidom enchi akese enko ma Archbishop Frimpong Manson dodo obrebi British Empire medalist Ghana fo nyina papa asofo nyina papa anopay enchiensi wuso nensi wiase asofo nyina amohwe abonus kimpe mode mo mpaebo etachi papa enchia kese ensi wuso ensi asofo enina aso aseda piesi aseda konkon aseda enikabia enkoma Ghana fo nyina ahemfo ni ahema papa ewo England and Wales United Kingdom ha England and Wales Ewurade nam papa we say so atete ahemfo apeja ahemfo amekrom ha ahinie ayede ati say ice cream no bi ase what am won ho anu wo se wo yon ho a what am obi biara emboa me na menchia na mensado tu na menda ne fom sane wotie nti abona baso ya bona baso this year wonya baso body enko amensa doctor wo si ahini tu ahini nana wo se kwa me koroko UK and Ireland o man hene nana enchi akese ni asida kese ensi uswe ensi wa hemfo ene wa hemafo enina eso ene wa hene no hema bibiara a wo hwe me efri etifini manche Ewurade enhira monche akese ensi uso nana wo Ghana waba me da se na me ma akwaba nana wo se kwa me kotoko enche wada sese wo dwedwe ne ho wada enche obeba be kan ye ho e wo dwumadi eso enche akase enko ema miankasa ma de nyina se me kutukutu na me nyiwaye abuna se me kutukutu na me na wasia waka za achira mansa Ewurade mi po mi mu ase aseda piesi aseda ponkro Ghana fo bibiara emboa me na me na bema wo bo machi dom adwuma we se nye yizo adwuma we se nye yize wa anya abotra wo ho ewo wo yire ho anya yize obu wa na yire kura afon no afa no wo fekire obe fekire sabi akotufu ani aba wo pie kura wo bi fro kura me anadwo 3 o'clock anadwo 4 anadwo 1 atam se bi wa me na mintimi me se mabre wo fa ha wo sene ha be men obo wo chidwom enchia piece enchia kase enkoma miankasa made ni na dodo brebi the full lances my lances a private number private plate whether you like it or not media a private number ne boho dodo brebi de nyame apaw no Prophet Greg daddy the bia will be aseda PC aseda ena mede ema aseda enkoma obia mo abreni bring na muti abonus campaign mo baso mo be share mo like mo ba TikTok for mo chamade aseda enkoma mo won so so a me ho ye wahi me nya wore de wo bia kanti de watinti sister we die me de do se ni okasa kra no ye me bufu me da se se ni okasa kra no ye me wa boa nkofu aboa bibia wonim mamme me do for papa wa de nyina dodo bread wo de ne ho abonus campaign me se me do wate me chia wo jeso kase me so me do kasa wo do me so me do me do wate enchia enkomo mu nyina ma mo tete akire mo mrem na ye ni nkomo me da wo twedi aponya kopa basa yi adomase na ebedi nkomo na ebe koso ntem And then for be some number by the last week, Yemia, Yabeka Nasem, ne update, no mere found to Yamia next week, and update no ebeba. Ne moment, ye baba be dim como afa, our rear, a home, a brochire, our rear, and the Ghana, our rear. Sabi Ghana for you, me pacho, who shasen ye make casana. And I say, sister, me share one lawyer now, Casa ya different. Akwantuo Mu Nsem de me kasa mo watini ye. Akwantuo Mu Nsem oba so be hu me different and patch of and say what if we say many abre asam tu obi a na watnas na calculate na wo de ahye wo ho na wasusu ne say ye me na say me say to me a enka edie na me ye no nti na me ba Akwantuo Mu Nsem a eye different all together compared to all my programs eye different me ding e de abonance campaign and then me chia a lawyers kukudem a ene me no mo ba be ye adwuma eye lawyer PK baby a wo bia lawyer PK I salute you lawyer PK eradinshra o send day wajemre and the lawyer see hey abonance campaign we bu watimi atimi achichere lawyers nyina e do mo ba ha say and ye ne lawyer PK e ba betwetwe eye enkomo ye ne lawyer Emi e ba betwetwe eye enkomo ye ne lawyer Pauline e ba betwetwe eye enkomo lawyer Pauline e practice or practice e wo eye United Kingdom ene Ghana ye ne lawyer Pauline e ba betwetwe eye enkomo ye ne lawyer Frank Niema e ba betwetwe eye enkomo ye ne lawyer Daniel Kweli e ba betwetwe eye enkomo Archbishop from Paul Manson British Empire medalist Nana was second UK and Ireland or mine in Nana and they are penny for kuku them and between como anyone so a wash me would see me you be 4 lines and 2 months watch a wide dream or come out a brochure for a yana yasam a ya the same thing almost so much Ghana and swasamo a ya or bit me worry hearing a senate kawa I don't know sorry there ewo Ghana echo come for better for West e ware no e won panimfo anim on for ye the wedding pa o ware no amamre ene amane e kwan so oja ne yire wo e wo Ghana I quite remember na meti compound house e wa tonsu bokro me din e de abonance campaign me papa ene na next campaign me was sandboard e wo Ghana me nya yira wo hwehwe me abi hume eno nti na sabi nioma ekoso ewo eye amansaten tanso no ungu sabines campaign me de me hujiji mu bi because me was sandboard enti me pedede sika mpede me tena compound house me hu ebenum a o matutu kwan abra mani fie no me hu ebenum a ya ware wo mo omokunum eko Germany Italy Holland name them
no battery please charge
I matena what 20 years ebenum matena what 20 something years ebenum matena what 15 years e wo Ghana obabesia na watena se kunkunu yemu edru efiada edwada ebenada ukuada ubehu se Ghana for mana tetino meme penso no ene die minim omukunu no mo wa abrochire no na wafani kunu foto wodi ahye bagim obi wodi ahye politin bagim no wodi ahye na motom wakobompa ye ewrade bo mi kunu nkrata o ewrade mi kunu nkrata o ewrade bo mi kunu mra e bia ne kunu akoware broniti abrochire ni kunu ni oba foforo ti abrochire 20 years 25 years until ni kunu nka otini kunu nka kora na ni kunu mai sabi me pa joy na de mo fa nche no wate sabi o kote kom onya bi fa na ya say no pocky no ice cream nothing eswe bia na be ma no ote wo ware ote abrochire wo ware e bia na be ma no bi so tena se genuinely e bia na be ma no ya chi no odem e bia be ma no fa desert so wan koduru ewrade a wo singume e bia na be ma no adwuma kora wonya binye wa be ye homeless e wa bonten e bia na be ma ni mpo wo wuda han wo wuda den ba ne yire wo Ghana wonim se me kunu wa brochire enti ene ye bedin komo afa Ghana aware sebi aware bi kan aware fun ye bedin komo afa ho Ghana aware ene abrochire aware Ghana for me binom obre Ghana for me binom obre enye common nyame animu ni me mani fie no man titi bi se yehu bra we na yire kwa abrochire 20 years wo mai bra ne te ho twa ne yire me hu bi dade enye common se bema oba abeja bema ho akotena abrochire 20 years 50 years obeba na bema no wanye mo ba foforo Ghana ho ne na wo enti Ghana ho no aware ebinom sofa ebinom ebre na ya sai aba abrochirefo ye mobose wo bia abrochirefo aware no mu binom no eya atete abuses a ewom ahokyere a ewom ayakayaka die a ewom obeti baabi a wonim se omoti abrochire aware ede debi enye sanete enne ye bedi nkomo ye pese ni nkomo nko abrochire ene Ghana abrochire fo ya aware. Do we have any right in the marriage? We will say ewa aware mu abrochire fo aware edie in the money ya aware obetimi kofa na danfo no de na ba begina ho sembe ye ho ade he yesua bibie firi nioma esisi mu yesua bibie firi de koso sabre yi ewo Ghana eni abrochire eho wo betimi ko no akofa na danfo wose papa we me ne wa adwuma me abana skimpe ma je nkofo aware age enu nti na me de na wose kwa me kotoko eba ya je nkofo archbishop ya je nkofo me magina ho ama nkofo ma me agina ho enti in this case asamu sine nipa na me koye ne maame enipa na me koye ne sister akuma asamu si Ghana fo no mo wo ho no omo beka so mu nipa na ago ame he asamu sinye ntokwa ma wani na ko nisua bibifrim ma wani na ho eni esese obi a wo be ye remarriage obi a wo be ko Ghana wo kuna warew na wo kunu kofa ne nanfofo na dwumamufo ena omodo ba beje aware na me pacho so anya nkrata twa print ticket na no kunu ko Ghana na abusuafo no munhu physical yagani me and me you and you enye san so a wo busuafo wo Ghana ade na abusuani mienu nhia abusuan mienu nhia amamra ne amane wo ye den wa wo kwa asori a wo sofo beka kire wo se brabe ya yefro engage efia aware ne traditional marriage ne de hu hia ka chense sofo ene emeye fia ma aware ne wo Ghana ansa because without efie aware no wedding na wo de kwa asori dem no will not survive mebusuani mienu hu bibiesio yensua bibi mfirim ene nye ntokwa abrochirefo o hawni atete oba ne be ma betena se wa abrochira bobra most of the time Ghana for ma ye wa abrochire minim sa Nigeria for so sa no motia most of the time emema no na ekọ na eba emema no ene ekosemo ya awarefo a emema no na ekọ no mo ba awo be mu kura de ne na age gon awo ebe mu na age gon awo be mu a na mo pese mo ye bibi wo Ghana enkura kan ho be da akọ o de nkura be ko school o ba be hwe fie enti be ma ne nya holiday a mo mienu nyina mo ye adwen ba kon se sika na mo be pa wo de asoma wo de amawukunu na wukunu no de akọ Ghana edan na musie adwuma bi na mo ya Akwantuo Mu Nsem me yentimi nsem eba manim ne doso ene I am talking from an experience amenya wa Akwantuo Mu Nsem bema ene bedi kan akọ Ghana oba timi jeje nkora benefit no de amani kunu enkofo bebre ye single mothers aban na hwe wo mo okromi ha abrochirefo bebre ebinom aban ene hwe wo mo echi omo dan ka ti wo mo ntwia dan ka oni ne kunu na tie nso so ye sengene moda ontwia dan ka enti ne kunu no wo sika because wo ntwia dan ka musika bunya ne nkura benefit omo gie nyina no be ma ne de ne de oba ne de ne de omo seje kwaku yensi dan wo Ghana ne de ama kwaku no kwaku de kɔ kwaku besi dan e wo Ghana enne by the time ayenwie no busa wo kunu abotere so se wo ba ne so ne won krata na wo ba ne di kan e wo Ghana ekoye japade a bra fa wo yire tenase enne busa wo yire wo doso abotere so sweet at mid of pa e dan na yesi ne wo Ghana na asase ne to ye no ma menhwe pepa edin be ne da so e bia na wo yire de wo ma medin na aye e bia na wo yire ono so akofa mpena wo Ghana ne mpena din ne da so e bia na wo kunu ni din ono nko asengene dot ni din ne da so e bia no aye ni Mr Mrs enne ye bedi nkomo me pa cho lawyers mo fa lawyers mo mra enne mo fa lawyers mo mra ye bedi enkomo ye bedi ebinom no eye abuses aye nkofo bebre nya na brochire aware mu enye Ghana ena meka abrochire ya ware mu emma bebre go through hell emma bebre go through hell emma ebusuafo abrochire aware emma binoma omo no omo maame etie abrochire be metimi ware owo a oba maame esemeton akora ndi ama continent kuro no mu binom so abuses ememe abusu emma ewa aware mu ewa abrochire oba ntimi mpie wo didi a wo ye bibia wo kunu se bonamane edi enti na wo ye se ba wo no be ma ne ye bibia on kan kire emra be na tworo saa Bible se wo ba bre wo ho asema wo kunu yes of course bre wo ho ase ba bra ofaya koko krache mumienu nyina momfa ni die ma mo ho sa wo mra ne ho asema ne nkire se wo ba ne de wo ye bibi o mebo amane ba wo be ma de wo ye bibi ada bi wo na aye the boss da bi mamo ma ye nka emma no ebinom enhye ene ye ba bedi nkomo abrochirefo aware bebre bema ware wa ha no akọ wo Ghana bema ware wa ha na wo twempena wo Ghana nso so de se wo ne wo ba ate eda ba akum oya wo yire sana Ghana efo no traditional no ye elders ye mpanyimfo no bebre no eteki no enunti ukọ my Ghana mu a enkofo bebre ne mema netie ebinom mienu wo ma wo ba akum mienu yenye wo mo ho ade yakobo kokoko ene ye behu se kokoko ya aware yakobo kokoko sanse wo mo ne bema no na awo ni ntie no yeso ye ne yire woni wo kunu si dan wo Ghana e dan no da bia bosumi bia wo kunu ko afi bia wo ko ba ko saa ne wo ba na wo tifi o so ye caretaker oba no wo ye ne mpana wo de na tena fi o ne wo wo kunu bewu ama wo ba no ane wo ba be charge apade 50-50 ve entie na brochirefo ye bedi nkomo se wo ye japade wo Ghana e wo se eye Mr and Mrs Kofi ana e wo se ye wo bia din ene da so Mr Kofi amu abna amu ana ene bedi nkomo ene ye ba bedi nkomo abrochire aware ene ye pese ehu se abrochire aware no obetimi ware bi ka ho ana yenye tete abrochire ne ware bi nka ho eye singere doctor na ene ye bedi nkomo ye ne lawyer wo Ghana nso aba Ghana aware emra ne kire sen how many types of aware do you want in Ghana se me ni mi kuna aware wo kuromi ha aban mu na mi kunu e wo ajapade wo Ghana na mi kunu akọwo e wo Ghana ejapade na mimi ni mi kunu mienu aye wo Ghana no enkura no mo ka ho bia na emra ben ene covering ni sa emra bi e wo ho a e covering ni sa na ene ebedi ni nyina e ho enkomo enti me pacho ene wo bia fa na kunwa obia je wo kunwa Ghana aware ene kuromi ha Abrochirefo ya som wo ya. Your sister-in-laws, your brother-in-laws, your mother-in-laws, your father-in-laws, some of them are pretenders. Do you benya firi wonti ene wo yo ba akuma asel enso so no na wo munim se wo ba no e ba Ghana no a enkukobuo na amobobo no wa be ware wo ba de nitim enso wukunu maame nka hwe wukunu papa nka hwe onkumafo because of omodo omonsa mienu ne didinti no omo beje ha no maje na wo a woti abrochire no wo sori abosome so anu aye boxer ayi condensed milk ennuama fufuo kura ye wo ne Ghana kura because of wo pese wonse wo no munyi wuntum nti utimi to fufuo ne abe nso afiri Ghana ne baaye Ghana ekura bia minim ho baby a me Kumase sa wo ye bema na wo benya mpana wo ho Kumase fo de ye di mawari o ye ni musoso so ye maame nom ya so konofo aso fefe bemena ye bemena dodo biribi ye bemena bi kura make say na wo bemena na wo firi ho ano ne baba na obi foforo so de niko obi foforo so ba bemena dodo biribi atu hwe yense no mu ne yenkumafo ne nkontafo no bebre ye pretenders. I'm telling you, Ghana for abrochirefo titiru enioma esisi no munsua bibi mfrim enne ye ba besua bibi de afrim ye besua bibi de afrimu because wo ya asew wo ye busua panyini wo ye wofa woni mu se wo ba no owo yire enti wode ne mpana be kire wo no ana efi amutim wode ne mpana wo kosra ne wo fie wa wo so oba atifie wo no no afa na gyenenkyana wo se ekwa akuma anu ofa nkontomre na se minim se wo yire debi ye fie ha de yenye sen ye fie ha pa de wontimi mfa sa suban we ema ha enti wo ba no mane mfiri fie ha nko wo betwe wo mpana akotwe na bonten Ghana the moment I would do a ba tena wo fie no de o kan yere ho ebo o kan wo yere no mo ho enso so be ma ne maame wa hu be ma ne papa wa hu ni nkumafo omokra ne yesoma wo mo enkontafo omokra ne yesoma mo abrochire oba ba ye adwuma be ma ba ye adwuma yese ye kan sika abom joint account na be ma de nam travel and tour wona ne mpanafo no omo de nam ene ebedi nkomo ene mo ni beda ho wo ye bema wani beda ho wo ye wo ba wani beda ho travel and tour no wo de nam bema no wo de nam joint account no eye ana enye ene ye ba bedi nkomo enti me pa chaw obi a waka me ho bia ne no me chiaw lawyer PK wo beta wa ne me ho so wasere kakra na wa security kakra ene mesre mo lawyers no ma obi ankasa with emotions obi anfu free because me ntimi nye judge won ware ye nsoso a mesro di ulemu ene wo ye lawyer na won ware ye a di ulemu pepepe ema me because won ware ye minim se dachi no obe ware enti obi a eni ne lemu na me twen other lawyers no ansa na maba mso enti na me delay no enti ene ye beba ye kasa afa wills and private ehho ye kasa afa wills and private ehho lawyer me ye obi anti braso ene ye kasa afa eye abrochira ware ne akasa afa divorce ehho abrochire divorce lawyer me pacho sa na obi ade ne tienti braso why
okay
braso sa na obi ade ne tie
instead blue screen that's so am I supposed to just wait
there be any free so ne sign braso bio meba me de maw ene ye kasafa eye divorce ehho ya be kasafa joint account ehho ni akasafa wills and private ehho se aware no will ewo mu a se aware no real ewo mu a sen na yebekọ no edi afa enti me pacho ma mo hwe wo eye TikTok no mo tape so ma mo hwe ewo eye Facebook mo hwe wo hwe ewo eye YouTube nso so a onso so no share na yenko dwumadie no eso lawyer PK mechia wo ene anopai me pacho ho te say
eni me ho ya papa na onso e
na abroso na me pese me twen na nkomu nyina beba so ana we started enti yen twen me hu se tu wa ha omo sete omo app nti no me ba so TikTok for me chiachi mu nyina mo amekasa na mo che me gift no nyame onhira mo medam mo nyina mo ase erade enhira wo bibiara ma mo hwe me enso so ewo YouTube erade enhira wo hwe ewo YouTube a erade enhira baby a wo hwe me edi free bia no erade enhira wo ba so no tape so no wa like mesra obi a wo beba so bia no na wa tape so na wa like ewo so. Hey, Kwame ba Suzik, Kwame ba, ene your birthday when you're 50 years. Hey, wunye easy, eradi wa shirawo. Nyame na shirawo, meto nyuma mo ansa na mapon. Nyame ya shirawo. Wunye easy. Me pacho mon tape so TikTok for no mon tape so. Me hu se bobo ne ni na obi. Lawyer me pacho bra so why? Mate. Lawyer Frankie dey wo say see call heaven kura be late. Ai ode mate ai braso jo yeda wo twedi ampo nyankopon abasa yadomo ase keys me da say yeda wo yedwa twedi ampo nyankopon abasa yadom ase wo no kata murunkum achi no kase empuna epunu enhye ene akwantuo mu nsem ene ya ma meka enkofo ensem ene ye pese yesua bibi edi free mu eya na bibi si a na yesua bibi afree mu enye ntokwa ene enye ne bufuo eso midi diabona skimpe ye kasa free eye Great Britain United Kingdom sane me start na me come ensem no abona skimpe me wura ho ne mani abre free se eya na asembisi a na wo wa compare wo ho ahwese eye wurade say ye me na asem eto me ameyeden bia meka se wo ma me no papa nyina ewu o empanyimfo ka bibi se samampom so akodro woni wu ana obusua sa enti busuani ben na eba abegina wachi busuani ben na eba abeta wachi bia meka se no wotena se no wadwene ho se enti sa enye nneoma ekokoso sa abere yi a enye de esi wo Ghana yi a minim se sa ma ware yi a metimi kura yenye me ho ade obi wa yenye ne ho ade ba onim ne wurafi woni wukunu be ma woni netia woni natena dem 10 years 15 years ma wo ma mienu da bia chukuchaka mo kwana mo ba woni musi enware wo enye de a esi sa abre yi lumba de ya enka wonim se wo yenware wo meboa enti bibisi a na ye twa asem ne mu bi na ye nyina ye de aye case study na ye sua bibi na ye de afri mu enkofo bebre abrochirefo sabi ebinom no ene nkomu kununum na tetie enso ye nya ho ade bebre na no wo mo na fofo restaurant no makotena no afa vren go say today is engagement me ma me nie me papa nie enso so me kasa bia na adwumamufo ni supervisor ene maami bia o ma na adwuma no ne natena se na we nso atena se no makotena restaurant ona ne de kawo ahyew sister utira nye na akohye abusuan panyini bia abusuan panyini Tupac obeka choso onimo because busuani bia ni ho a wotena se ukuromufo wo maami abusuanfo mu nyina awu ana o papa abusuanfo mu nyina awu ana so mu muyidi a sister na se wo ankasa woni bema ni be kreti abusua wa abrochire dia ene emeka cho sesa awade ni jan enye nyom a ekoso yi a sese nke nim se awade sese kura no ada mene Ghana registry ho no mo kasa ye no yese papers na mo de print na awade certificate no asa Yes, lawyer Paul na wa Ghana. Yes, asa. Because I say wo bia hu say, hey, sama wade ya meti hu. Asemu sikrudu menka ho. Asemu ba sa ware no menka ho. Enti say no wo bia de na ware e call registry, akọ register. Ekuromi hankra de ye no nwa. Omo so me frɛ wo omo a. Omo so say, oh, skin pain, wait, we have short of this. A short marriage certificate a short to okuromi ha. Because they say no obie dimirika. The power of marriage certificate. Eye adwuma. Na ye adwuma wo Ghana. Eye adwuma wo okuromi ha na. Ye bekasa afa divorce ho. Enkofo bebre no omukunu no magyeja aware o. Osemede nsakọ. Be ma so semakoje mensa. Afa di asem ne beba no. Wo yare da ho no abrochire. Be ma ne timi begina ho. Especially kuromi ha wonya cancer na wo bewu a. Yese wo wish ne de yen. Obi se me wish ne se me pese me ma me be 50,000 pounds. Obi se me wish ne se nka me pese me banye sei. Omo sisi o ma no mususu ahwan ne be ebeji sika no. Enti se wo kunu eti se wo bewu a o de won sako ba san se kuromi ha court no dimirika wa ba hospital ho. O se me na me nurse of king. Me ye ne yere ampa ye de wo bibia be ma no. Ene ye ba be didi ho enkomo. Lawyer PK me jidi se wo twedi amponya ko adabro ma wo ho ye. Lawyer Paul won so wo ho eye. Mestate ewo eye lawyer PK eso. Na me ne lawyer PK atwetwe eye enkomo. Lawyer PK, first of all, me pese wo be chi adofo. Na wo chi adofo na wo kire wa kira kwan ewia. Enye advert me ya advert ma ho ne nya advert adwuma. Ye wia. Wo kire because me pese obi be ka se eh abena skin pain ene me ade ebo me ko be ka se me judge enso me nya judge. Enti obi be ka se bia makofa me wo fa bi na abetena ho so ma me ye lawyer. As a senior lawyer, we are one of the executive director. Edema eye Fortwall. Me pese wo be kire wa kira kwan na wo kire wa kira kwan wi ato asoma me. Ye pese ehu abrochire aware. What takes to abrochire aware? Kire ye abrochire aware emu, especially UK aware ewo emremu. Wo kire mu wi na if there is any questions bia mebem ne mebusa wo questions bi. Timi pacho chiadofo ne bodi na yenkoso.
Yo, lady, me da se any anokwaya kwenya wo de amame. Me din de Patrick Opokuboatin be dodo na frɛ me lawyer PK. And it's any lady can ye me ye advert nti no me ntire me kira kwan bebre sa enchire me mu me ye adwuma wo photo solicitors. Ye law firm ye wo UK, ye specialize in areas but particularly in family law. Your big family law department ewo honoma issues like niye ibedi hu nkomo ene no di bisa wo hona opese unya more information about teta ofre photo solicitors ye betimi aboa o ye free consultation say if ene na the first time wo hwe yen ewo Akwantuo Mu Nsem oba photo solicitors yes ade no de boa skin pain outreach ene Akwantuo Mu Nsem. Say wo frɛ na opese wo ni yedi nkoma at least the first 30 minutes there you be ma free of charge. Yes ade no e de boa community no. Ntino lady that is a short introduction. Opese men go ahead and I say yen twen men go ahead. Okay. Nti enen nkomo na ye ba be di ni se ne lady abma lots of introduction to akeka nsem bebre watwetwe like touch on certain things but ye ba be do masuko na ya hwe eniema ewo mu ankasa eni ne ya wo se yehu when it comes to our rear ewo abrochire especially krom ha ye friend UK na thing hanim say UK omo wo two forms and as you kind of two types of marriage and I say aware baako omo friend civil marriage and baako omo friend religious marriage saa aware no ni nyinaa ɛwɔ same effect nanso no ɛwɔ baabi a wobɛyɛ no ɛne nea a ɔbɛgyina mu ayɛ awareɛ no ɛno na ɛde differences no ɛyɛ den ɛba. First one na yɛfrɛ no civil marriage no normally no wobɛyɛ no wɔ office bi a yɛfrɛ no register office. Ɛno no wobɛkɔ maybe council local authority bi office bi wɔ hɔ ɔmo de aba ɔmo akyerɛ din register office ɛhɔnom no wopɛ sɛ wokɔware wɔ hɔnom a wowɔ ho kwan sɛ wokɔ na wokɔware wɔ hɔ. Local authority ni nso ɛnni any council office biara na ɔwɔ designated place a ɛhɔ ɛna registrar no ɛbɛtena ɛgye aware a ɛno nso no yɛfrɛ no register office. Saa civil marriage no yɛwɔ obi a ogyina mu ɛyɛ saa awareɛ no yɛfrɛ no registrar of marriage. Ɔnyɛ ɔsɔfoɔ, ɔnyɛ imam, ɔnyɛ obiara a ɛfa sɛ ɔkɔbɔ mpaeɛ ama wo anaasɛ ɔkɔyɛ biribiara ama wo. Ɛyɛ ɔbaa anaa ɔbɛrima yɛfrɛ no registrar of marriages. Nti no wokɔ saa office hɔnom a na wɔde wa go through the process no na wayɛ awareɛ no ama wo. Saa awareɛ no it is recognized in the UK. Ɛno na nkɔfoɔ bebree etimi ka sɛ oh awareɛ no a mewareɛ no mekɔgyina papa bi anim ɛna yɛ mmienu pɛ ɛna witnesses bi pɛ na saa awareɛ no ɛnyɛ aware papa because baabi a mefi ba no yɛka sɛ yɛbɛware a yɛbɔ dwa yɛn a yɛwɔ kurom hɔ nyinaa yɛba m'abusuafoɔ a wɔn wɔ ayi adi akyire ɔba na abusuafoɔ yɛbɔ dwa. Enti no sɛ because wo deɛ no papa bi anaa maame bi ebegyina hɔ na mo mmienu mu gyina hɔ a yɛhyɛ mo kawa no saa awareɛ no mengye ntom boa. Kurom hanom sei no it is one of the forms of marriages a ɛyɛ recognized ɛwɔ kurom hanom sei. The second form of marriage a ɛyɛ recognized no ɛyɛ religious marriage. Ɛyɛ similar to civil marriage no. Nsɛm bi wɔ hɔnom a yɛbɛka ɛwɔ civil marriage no mu, nsɛm bi wɔ hɔ nso a yɛbɛka ɛwɔ religious marriage no mu. Na religious no ne fapem a ne sɛ saa awareɛ no yɛyɛ no ɛwɔ religious place. For example, asɔredan mu. Saa asɔredan mu awareɛ no ɛyɛ recognized. Mosque awareɛ ɛyɛ recognized. Synagogue awareɛ ɛyɛ recognized. Place biara yɛagye asi wɔ ɛyɛ religious place a ɔsɔfoɔ, imam, synagogue foɔ panyin, obi a ɛyɛ religious body ɛba bɛyɛ saa ceremony no saa awareɛ no yɛgye tum sɛ ɛyɛ religious marriage. But ɛha mɛkyerɛ mu kakra saa religious marriage no ɛnyɛ ɔsɔfoɔ biara ɛna otimi yɛ saa religious marriage no. Yɛwɔ specific asɔfoɔ wɔ hɔ a wɔn bɛyɛ saa religious marriage no ama wo. Mɛkyerɛ mu wɔ hanom sei kakra efi sɛ ebi a wadwe yɛ wɔ sɛ makɔ Akwantuo Church of Assembly, makɔ Pastor PK Ehyira Mawareɛ so ama me. Wabɔ mpaeɛ Pastor PK Akwantuo Church Assembly yɛmbɔ yɛdin ɛmfa nhyɛ mmara mu sɛ yɛtumi gye awareɛ. Although Akwantuo Church Assembly obiara nim sɛ ɛyɛ asɔre ɛwɔ kurom hanom sei ɛnso yɛmfa yɛnhyɛ mmara mu sɛ yɛtumi gye awareɛ. Saa ara nso na Pastor PK ɛnso no yɛmbɔ na odin sɛ ɛwɔ sɛ otimi gye awareɛ. Enti ni sɛ wokɔ na wokɔware ɛwɔ saa asɔre na it doesn't come under religious marriage na meka no. Ɛwɔ sɛ baabi a asɔre na wokɔyɛ recognized ɛna ɔsɔfoɔ no nso a ɔyɛ saa asɔre no ama wo no nso no he or she need to be recognized sɛ ɔwɔ ho kwan sɛ ɔyɛ saa asɔre no na ɔgye saa awareɛ no ma wo. Yɛkɔ yɛn anim no yɛwɔ legal requirement anaa yɛwɔ mmara bi a yɛagye ato hɔ ansa na obi bɛtumi obiara na ɛtumi ware kɛkɛ. Kurom ha nim sɛ wɔ obi a obetumi aware wɔ kurom ha. I think say maame si bibi from the very beginning maame nka awareɛ ɛyɛ between enipa mmienu wɔ kurom ha nim sɛ ɛno na ɛwɔ sɛ I think sɛ ɛwɔ sɛ nka meka ne first. If you say minim sɛ lawyer Paul Mba ebi ɔba bɛka sɛ baabi a ofi ba no I need to say that Kroman say a nipa mmienu pɛ ɛna etimi ɛware. Enipa mmiɛnsa entimi ɛnyɛ den ɛnware. Okay, nti moving on no. Legal requirements anaasɛ nneɛma a mmara mu no ɛma wo ho kwan ansa na wobɛtumi aware no. First of all, ɛwɔ sɛ wowɔ of a certain age ansa na wobɛtumi aware ɛwɔ kurom. Obiara ɛna ɛbɛtumi. Sɛ wundi above 18 since 27th of February 2023 wuntimi ɛnware ɛwɔ kurom ha. Before 2023 no na yɛka sɛ obi a wadi 16 wadi 17 utimi ware. Since 27th of February 2023 no di 18 years a wuntimi ɛnware ɛwɔ kurom ha nim sɛ. Ebio nso no another legal requirement ɛwɔ sɛ wo satisfy ɛyɛ sɛ ɛwɔ sɛ woyɛ obi a wadwi mu ɛyɛ den ɛda hɔ. Sɛbi wadwi mu ɛka wa wuntimi ɛnyɛ den ɛnware ɛwɔ kurom ha nim sɛ. Yɛkɔ yɛn anim no ɛwɔ nso sɛ mo na mo bɛware no nipa mmienu na mo bɛware no ɛwɔ sɛ mo yɛ related. Nti na ɛwɔ sɛ ukɔware ukunu ɛwɔ sɛ ukɔware oba. Ɛwɔ sɛ oware u sister ana o brother. Obi a ɔyɛ closely related to you no wuntimi ɛnware no. Ukɔ yɛ saa awareɛ na ɛnyɛ awareɛ a ɛyɛ recognized ɛwɔ kurom ha nim sɛ. Ebio mu nso ansa na mmara mu no yɛbɛgye awareɛ no atum no ɛwɔ sɛ wo have notice to the local registrar office. Baabi a wokɔ akɔyɛ awareɛ no ɛwɔ sɛ wokɔma notice sɛ woba abɛware. Saa notice no the reason why saa notice no yɛ bɛ publish ahwɛ sɛ lawyer PK waware da ɔsan ba ɛha sɛ ɔba bɛware na nti within that 28 days no obi a ma sɛ lawyer PK aware da legally no was satisfy that requirement na mmara mu no wɔ ho kwan sɛ ɛwɔ sɛ wa ebi mmara no ɛkyerɛ sɛ ɛwɔ sɛ the local district a wɔ mu no ɛhɔnom ɛna ɛwɔ sɛ oware. One of the parties no ɛhɔ ɛna ɛwɔ sɛ oware. Nti ne yɛmfa sɛ wuntimi nka sɛ mewɔ Campbell na mepɛ sɛ mekɔware on ɔdamten. Ɛwɔ sɛ oware wɔ local for the purposes of, for example, yɛbɛma notice so that unhyɛ Campbell na waware wɔ hɔ ɛna wabɛtena Northampton ɛna woba bɛkye ɔbaa foforɔ na ɔbɛrima foforɔ na waka sɛ ɔyɛ wo yere ɛna lastly no there are few legal requirements. For example, immigration wise no ɛno nso ɛyɛ requirement because sɛ wonni nkrataa wo kurom anom sɛ ɛno nso itimi twe wɔn se kakra sɛ wobɛware bɛtɛ nyɛ no ho asɛm ɛna yɛka. Nti ɛwɔ sɛ mmara mu no o satisfied saa requirements yi a makan sa so when satisfy a ukɔware a yɛnyɛ den yɛngye. Now yɛsan kɔ yɛnim wa satisfy that requirement no the ceremony and I say registration of saa awareɛ na wayɛ no ansa na ya atum. First of all, aware bi enu a obetimi aware wo kurom hanom say ya ye beji atum if during the aware time no and I say ceremony time no mienu enka ho. Se wo ene ukunu ena mukotena pa ena mupe obi ena ogina ho ena oka say wahu se maware a ye ngi ntum. E was say witnesses no at least omuye 2 ansana ye beje sa aware no atum ewu kurum anum say. But enumu na lady eka bibi about the fact say I was say ebusunafo ni bitimi ye witness. But kurum hanum say aware ne de ubetimi akwakofa wo adwuma mu manager, ubetimi akwakofa wo work colleague, ubetimi afọ bia as far as oni akono ka say or your witness ye di ni din be book mu say or your witness no uyo okay kurum it does not necessarily mean say oni akono e wo say or ye wabusuani, not at all. Ebiom nso no sa aware no that ceremony na ye ho no e wo say ye performing in front of a registrar, that is civil marriage ceremony no, it needs to be performed in front of a registrar. Untimi enkofa bia keke na won say ono ena eba be di aware nanim ama wontini yangi ntum because if they was satisfy a certain requirement it was say a year before a registrar if a civil marriage. Ebiom nso say a religious it was say a year before osofo bi chief imam bi ana say obi a oye religious leader. Ehono no nso no yebetimi ceremony no yebetimi aye no wo asori na the bit of the civil part nso no ye de abehiem na me pese me kire wo ha ne say obi yo ho a obeye asori de na owie a wakọ akoye your friend is a registry there, but ceremony bi wo ho no mo a osofo no a obeye adwuma no anase oba be ware no owo ho kwan say ye de marriage certificate ni beba na waye at the same time ewa asori ho no. Ebi ho nso a oni ho kwan say obeye obetimi issue marriage certificate during the ceremony no obe performing ceremony ni pepepe na emom no mu wie a e was semosa ko registrar ho na ono because yama na ho kwan say e was say oye the ultimate issue marriage certificate no na we issue marriage certificate na ma ye ko ye ni mu biom no o question bi abese obisa ma.
Lawyer PK me pacho me mre ni nti se ne wa kire mu na ye ma me musa all these questions no eno na ye ehu hia ye pese ye tie de se ne wa kire mu aboye tofa na ma ye no ye ni age ho ye wo 2 types of marriages in the UK, ye wo religious marriage and ye wo yewo civil marriage enso so ho wa kire ni nyina mu ni nyina no adwuma ba ko na chese ni nyina no wo se wo court se wo ye wo ware wo fie asori na wa anfa ankoto court ho na enye adwuma na yewo ensori no nso so na asofo binum a omo yabo mudin wo court mu wa ha asofo bi wo ha anya omu nyina na omu hira wa ware so a court mu automatically wo se wa kire mu se no ye hu se ye wo 2 types of marriages in this country. Civil marriage and religious marriage no court no ye pese ebusa wo say because lawyers me mo be 10 minutes and ti aka wo de 2 minutes intim the 5 minutes beka lawyer ye pese hu say wo ware e wo United Kingdom abrochire ana ye news United Kingdom ma abrochirefo nyina wo ware wo kromi ha ya ware no eye adwuma e wo Ghana wo ko Ghana eye adwuma ewo ho eno ye one question me busa na mejai e de amount eno ye one question say aware no eye adwuma ewo eye Ghana ana enye adwuma ewo eye Ghana ena ye pese ye hu say wo say eye two people ena eware ewo krom ha wo ba ne bema being a civil marriage or religious marriage say wo kunu no ewiase nyina no me hu oba aware mienu de bia bema na ware mienu ntime pamocho mema mama ne hamo sa se meka mema no mo amoso ye pese hu se lawyer wo ware wo kuromi ha se ya ana wo ware wo aburuchire mra mu no wotimi san akọ ware foforo wo Ghana ana wonya double kokumbos wo ho wo eye Ghana ana as a spouse or right in the marriage ene essay ye nsa nyoma mensa we say ano na memfa womra questions miensa aka no ye pese hu si ya ware na ye ware wa aburuchire no ukura marriage certificate eye court aware enye engagement ayakọ ye ho ade wo pap enye wo nanfofo na abehia mu ne aye ho ade ye wa ware wo court aware wa kire mu amie hu se court aware no enipa mienu wo ne wo kunu no ana wone wo yiri ni mienu ne de witness aka ho mo ye 3 mo ye 4 nipa 4 pe etimi kugina ho eware emie ma wo marriage certificate ye pese hu se marriage certificate ne de be ma no ye gitum ewo eye Ghana na ye gitum nsoso no ewo eye Ghana ho na wo be ma no utimi ware biom ewo different countries so say bia wo kromi abetimi akorare another woman wo Italy, Belgium, Ghana ana ya no na memra another question so
okay but as say we bisa sa question we message question no kakra to suit role now the amame no as say UK aware enti UK hanum say no say wo ware wa ha na wudi sa mra ya boy su nyina na it is recognized everywhere. Okay, it is recognized everywhere. If you want to know question na ubisa say me ko ware ewo Ghana aware na ma ware wa hanum say no will it have any effect on aware na ma ware wa Ghana? Say me ye the opposite side krom hanum say no se wa ware wo baby na wo de back krom hanum say ya because of UK public policy nintino wuntimi enware mienu therefore no say uware ewa ha sa ware na waware wa hanim say no wo de koba bia na ye gitum ewo kuruma na wo de baha nso na if it's recognized wo ba bia wo fi ba na ye beji atumama and a third question no na ubusa about the effect and responsibilities and amebwa. What was your third? Yes. 80. Yes. Se uware pa enkwala responsibilities wo honum properties responsibilities and effects ewo mu inheritance tax responsibilities and effects ewo mu next of kin status responsibilities and effects ewo mu ena se wo pese wo gya nso a responsibilities and effects ewo sa aware ni mu.
me next question na me pese me busa o enene say ansa na wo be ware wo ye kuromi ha say no eye court aware no e was say wo ye traditional marriage wo Ghana say ye nye friend say engagement wo ye traditional marriage wo ko hu maame no we ko hu ne maame ne papa ne nana no mo no e wo Ghana court ni be busa ansa na court na gi atoma mama ware e wo eye kuromi ha na ye pese hu say before wo be ye court marriage wo kuromi ha no you need to perform the right in Ghana, the traditional marriage in Ansan wa ware ewo ha ana ye pese hu se wo ware court aware na because obi o wa ne papa se mempene me maame se mempene me wo fa se mempene obi o kra ne maame ne papa wu abusuan panyini e na wa abusuan nim e wo se wo hia family members e mo be witness e wo court no ana se obi a etimi ba be witness e wo court na se obi a etimi be witness wo court wa na say in case of asemusia o marriage certificate no because abusuafo bi o wa o be ka so far as ya wa ma yanimu ne de yanimu wo but say wo kura marriage certificate ne de a you are the madam or not enti e pese hu say married no ansa na court be gi atum no was so quiet Ghana engagement and as a traditional marriage, and son a court adiatum. And now we hear witness of family members, no, and no ma begina wa witness or court and I will be at me pacho, yeah, no.
That's it. From her embrano, you don't need any traditional marriage for your marriage to be recognized. Say whether say a true civil marriage or religious. If you want to know, ubisa question be about witnesses, no, whether the witness must be a family member. No, Krum say, o adamfo, o manager, o bia, o neighbor, cra, utimi kofano, ema neighbor, eba be witness, ema.
Or if you and your spouse divorce at home, but in court, lawyer ye pese ebusa wo say you kemre mu wa ha say no. Se woni wo yire ana wo kunu no mu gya aware na oba no ana be ma no de nsa kɔ eye Ghana automatically no ebe cancel court de na na.
Sana me di kan no Kroman say na yenje mo insana mo yakoma abusuafo ewufie no we don't recognize that ye wo kwan a ye fa so a ye jai aware ewu Kroman say nti se wo de nsa ko o fa nsa nko yo se won go through the kwan a ye fa so a ye jai aware ewu Kroman say as far as marriage certificate no wo ho na divorce process and go through na yan ma with divorce certificate and a decree absolute na whether in sanko yo ye nim say waware
Na brochire obia ne kwan ya ofa so nya ne nkrata obu ho a wogina ne ba so no nya nkrata obu ho a woware ene onya nkrata ba wa ye divorce ene wa ba be hia ne ba maame ana wakohia oba afoforo obu ho a wotena ha 20 solid years ene onya ne nkrata ne right e kwan obu ho a omo ya awarefo enso omo aware na omo tie no omo nware wo aban mu kofi enam ne kwan ya ofa so nya ne nkrata ba wo ni indefinite leave to remain ama ena mokwan of aso benya ne nkrata ba wo indefinite leave to remain omomienu nyina eti ebom as a single mother oklemu as a single mother sabre ya yesua bibi as a case study na ye nyina ye de toto ye ho akoreti atenetene nuama bi nti no se wo mutie ebia wo bi tie sabre ya okura ne nkrata anko ni kunu kura ne nkrata anko ba wo munya awarefo eye wrong ye pese hu se enne bibisia effect a woman no anything.
It would depend on the level of the relationship and the effect that you are talking about. Yemfa say uni obiti na munware na oni ne woma. If you want to find out the effects ewon kola no so a ye woni de wo hono se woni obiti na moato egapade abom ana mato edan abom ana masidan abom na mu jaya ehunsu effects enso ewo hono depending on kwan a mofa so a moto egapade de ebom entino if the broader question is asked ehun effect then it will be very difficult. But if you are specific, obi oba one wo atena 10 years, one wo enware now so no because of say ma go into certain agreement bi no edan na amutimu no ena mu come separate ways e wo say woman bibi untimi nka say me nana edan no eye media ana say me nana medin wo so enti so only akono for example me bo meeting na account so mato dan na bo na owo evidence say o transfer sika ebegu account ni and na wo di year deposit e de to dan na although won ware na ye enso no e wo say utimi e mana share e wo sa property nti the effects no would depend en kwala na de no so the same thing as far as how na wo ba on ware wo ye mu pese mutiti mu a wuntimi nka say o ma na nhwe nkola because won worry nti the effect will be dependent on the situation.
Lawyer PK the fact kese pa ba ko ne say ewuo de yen kasemra but ewuo de etetahaban so ebia oba beka say me do why me next of kin be man so beka say me do why me next of kin ni tumi a wo anything in case se ba ko efiri mu a monya awarefo ewo aban mu ewa ha obi a wo ne nkrata wo nam so na emom Ghana de yaye mu engagement traditional marriage no maye wo ho se ene mumu ba ko firi mu a wo na wo waka wa asase so a wo kurom ha no onye wo kunu no wo betimi agina kwaji wido mani akwajeje na ne pension ne love spices na wo ho no wo betimi age ana
Tabi enye nema bia na you be entitled to. For example yama about widow money. So won ware no wa ban mu a aban en recognize wo say oye owarefo. Nti ne ye ka widow money a won ka ho. Okay. Yamfa ne next of kin say a won ware ne wo mrem na ye hia ne yere amana abeteki a specific decision na wa ware no wo Ghana na won register aware no eye e wo Ghana. Lawyer Pauline beba be chirechire mu later. This aware no wo Ghana na wo de ba na wo pese wo chire se sa na wa register na no afa kwan mu wo Ghana papa ena kroma no say because yeje aware bi fi Ghana other countries etumu a then it's a different thing. But say won register na mabusia for traditional marriage and any of those things are a better thing. It was say we prove beyond certain evidence be and son even next of kin say it was say or worry for any taking a specific decision, you know, wouldn't mean take a specific decision because or limit now ever be doing pen so you need to prove beyond the normal say a traditional marriage and I say our real crewman say what's here too.
ye da lawyer pickers not just a lawyer won sem ni nyina wakeka ni nyina no semitia me woni me be ya adwen say court aware no ehu hia se obia no wo be register wo court na wo lawyer pick mpacho wadawroma se wo ene wo kware a wo be pe traditional marriage ana se wo be pe court aware pacho mama lawyer pick volo
Se mitikrom ha de a mepese ye be ware ewo efense emrem bet mi wo fie di a mepese ye be ware ewo traditional marriage because of benefits via ewo won.
tie wo ho no menya ma wo so de ye wo mere na so benefit ye wo ho ne so obeware bia ka ho enti e ho no ne benefit ye wo ne se wo ware wo Ghana na traditional marriage ne so obetimi aware bia ka ho ne ye hu suban yo lawyer Pauline me do for pa be pa cho se wo ho ye etiefo obi biara wo hwe me afei no adfidie no wo de ato ase ya eye Akwantuo Mu Nsem eye time da bonus campaign Akwantuo Mu Nsem ne yesua bibi aba besi ejapade properties enkra ewom woni wukuno woni wo yire na wo yire ne kowo ewo baabi a ana se abra wo yire ne ba be waro na yire ne wo ba wo bonwa wo bontu se wo yire ne wu a ne mane papa no eba so mo ba beye obeye ayi ekuna papa no momo oba beye bia obe pene amana beye ana wo no oba be hye japade bi ene ye di nkomo ne asua bibia free mu e bia wo ne wukunu netie mu mienu nyina no mo nware wa aban mu obia wo ne nkrata se magege benefit na wie na mo amoma akoko atwam wo benefit no abena skim pay metu fo se konne ko register wa ware no ebeboa lawyer Pauline me pa cho wo hote san me gidi se rade adom ho ye me pa cho kire wa kira kwan enya advert ye bebre me wi a mema mo kwa mama ye mo advert enya advert ye ti kire wa kira kwan wudin ene wo de bra wo ye na me pa cho me mra wo so e wo Ghana aware ehu
Mpacheyo. Good afternoon to your lovely viewers. Thank you very much for this opportunity. My name is Pauline Kwoti, and I am a qualified lawyer in Ghana. My experience in family matters includes marriage, divorce, as well as distribution of assets of married people. And this experience is not just by way of knowledge, but it covers experience as well. Aside this, I also practice in the UK as a registered foreign lawyer. And my areas of law include immigration, wills, and grants of administration. And I would leave it at that for now. I'm looking forward to sharing my knowledge and experience in marriage, divorce, as well as distribution of assets pertaining to Ghanaian law. Thank you.
Enro obi bebo wudi wo mi program so. Obi beda awase wo mi program so beka wasem ewo so. Ye ba be wie mi program na no. Obi bebo wudi nti keep it up adwuma pa wo ye. Wa ye adwuma me kura wa ye adwuma bi ama me a etwa neat pa. Wo adwuma no em say ya wo tobo e na wo ye wo take time ba ekoye begin na me bo ye afu. Abi ko no wa chedodo. Ba fe de good news ni ba lo ye mi wo sere. Oye boko wo se ni okasa na afedie ai ete panisie lawyer Pauline dio woni lawyer ba ko ka kire me se Pauline de oye boko so good results no de ba yo lawyer Pauline wo betimi akankran you know gano fio mi no ho no enti if you fail to speak no ga like ya emia lawyer mi beka just say me fane kasa enti no sa wo pesa wo kan you can speak Gan English ne so any language you feel free to talk about obetimi aye lawyer wo ye barrister ewo eye Ghana no I am so happy I was on practice wo kromi ha no I am so happy enti me pese wo di ye komu sese ye kase aware ewo Ghana. First of all, no, minimum say make us out to say make engagement because in Ghana there's engagement. A chroma engagement in so be a pap. No, I shall ring was my engage you. By yenye dear, ye Ghana for ye him say engagement in a shaking tememen dano, and if you had an papa no mame, and then engagement, yenye friend engagement, you know. And yes, a traditional marriage into your patch or your person which you must say Ghana, ye kase awaria and saying, Enna, how many types of marriages we have in Ghana? Bonitofa, na membra ye questions are me pesa me busa no nti ye pese who types of marriages ye wo in Ghana and ye kase awaria e din na kire se awaria because obi wo wa wo 10 one ne ma ene ne ma papa ene tie ye nya ne ho ade enso Ghana de nim se eye aware eno no enti ye pa chaw obechire ye musa ewo eho no na ye hu me pa chaw lawyer me ba ma mo show TikTok no mesre obi antape so ba so no atape mo de konkon kwa na mo penkofo wo nsem Saturday ne nka mo gusu giridi na me kam na me bo obi aso na me butu no wo so we education program like this no wa ba so won tape waba so won hye ye bewie no na wo freme na wo besu ma abana hwese mi kunu de majapade akohwe ne ma hwese mi kunu akofa ni nua no mo firi Ghana aba woni be ma nete wo busa ni sika kora wo maw enso so bra mo bre no wodi si dan wodi hwe ni nua no na busuafo na wo betro na besu agum so bra ne betie no afamu aba you don't come yo enti me pacho lawyer mejai ede amount Opeso kan brofo a me pacho kan opeso twi de ye out of content obi ko wonya yi papa peso kan gan kan na emom gan no o kan sheda fa brofo kakra bra se de be a me meti de o kan
Enti medasepa enti say ka aware wo Ghana generally no ye wo miensa but before me call the types of aware ne wo Ghana no say ka aware it is generally between oba aweni ene obema enye obema ene obema enye oba any oba kra. Apart from that, it's a contract. I'll put it that way. It's a contract. And we have your customary aware, and your marriage, and your aware under the ordinance, and your Mohammedan ordinance marriage. Inti, let's start with first one, the customary marriage, because Ghana, in everybody comes from a place, and from your hometown, there's a particular custom that is specific or unique to baby a feeling. So it must be in alignment with sa custom. Inti enona sesiano we have brothalized the mechanism your friend tradition your friend engagement, but that is traditional marriage. Into traditional marriage generally based on baby a wufino at me can say me oba into me can baby a oba no fi and a baby a obema no so fino. You want to make sure say the rules in place for our no it is done. It is not just to say now on Instagram and all that with all the show and pomp and glamour. No, it's about strict compliance with the customs of where the parties come from. In doing so, no, generally because customary marriage is polygamous in Ghana, as in obema betumi aware mba, obema no ebusia for through their authorized representatives, omobesoma their authorized representatives to go and see Obano Nebusiafo. Say we want to seek the person's hand in marriage. Say Omokoa, they can say, we won't accept you. And Ombisumia can say, okay, Mwaba. Enti Yabesha that said on X and Y dates and 18th October. Muni Mwebusiafo Bisumiaba, Samoba. Then they would let you know what is there would be exchange of gifts to signify that we are coming to take the hand of this woman in marriage. And aside the exchange of gifts, there is also the dowry that is given. Depending on baby awufino, it could be say ebeye beads. Depending on baby awufino, it could be say omobet maybe cows and carries to signify mbacho woke baby.
Lawyer. No. Ni nyina ne yenim ehɔ ne yenim tini ye pese who the types of marriages ordinance ne traditional marriage ne hwan no no ache mu se ordinance ne na ye court no traditional marriage ne ye friend is engagement no ye time factor ne ntina ne move on enko yenim why are there power you good teacher
Customary marriage no or bema betumi aware as many mba a ope. With customary marriage no it is optional for you to register the marriage. But because can generally in relation to UK no, I would say it is desirable that you register the customary marriage so that if you are relying on it in the UK no, there's evidence to show our has taken place. So generally that is that. We also have the ordinance marriage in Ghana. Ordinance marriage, it could be at the Registrar General's office. Depending on where the marriage is done, it can also be done in court, or the marriage can be done at the municipal assembly or the district assembly. As well as this, it could also be done at let's say by the seaside or in your home. In such a case, then you need to make sure that you are the people who are conducting the marriage or officiating the celebration of the marriage. They are licensed. The place where the marriage is done is licensed. Now, for marriage under the ordinance, it is a 1:1 marriage. So, obema, any oba, so warrior. It cannot change to any other form. Now, let me go back to customary marriage. Let's say, so customary marriage na obema, let's say Kofi or ware ama. Na later, omo ware under the ordinance now. Kofi ontumi nkoware oba afoforo because the customary marriage, which was potentially polygamous, he has limited it now to a monogamous marriage. So he cannot under any instance say, ebi awaware ama wagana, inti so ba UK, or ba be ware obi foforo. It becomes bigamy because he has limited the marriage. In that same vein, say Kofi aware ama, ontumi nkoka say later, or ware obi foforo. I'll now go to the third marriage. With the third marriage, that's the Mohammedan ordinance. It's generally, for Muslims, if I can put it that way. So it allows a man to marry up to 4 wives. That's that's the expectation. So generally, this is the type of marriages that we have in Ghana. Would you want me touching on divorce kakra na minja no wahanum sisia? Okay, me that's it.
Lawyer said Ghana no ordinance na wo ware wo court a untimi nko ware foforo wa abruchiri ana Ghana no ordinance no ye 1 man 1 wife, 1 husband 1 wife meboa. Okay, entimi mfa ne say ye wo Ghana na wa ye ordinance e wo ho na wo kunu no akọ ebia Lagos Nigeria na wakọ ware wa no obi akọwo e wo wakọfa mpana no ne mpana no awo ewo ho ana Ghana ho na nkasa woni wo ba bia akọwo wo ho na wo de ensa akọhu oba na busuafo aye no traditional marriage ewo fie onfa ne nko court ordinance na meka no ontimi mfa ne ma court because wonim se court ho no wadi nkan de Madam B akoho in 20 men fan nkoko to ho na emom no de nabusuafo miensa bia na anamfofo adi nachi akoto ensa na ode ko because of ode nsa ko ho abusua na wone ne wo ba no eno no abusua betimi agi atomu se eya aware ana court beka se o won fa ne ma court by your traditional marriage no waye ana wakobo kokoko unim kokoko knocking ana wonne no ewo ma enti no one ne woman enti no though ye de wo buy as a ordinance but one ne woman enti no court betimi a consider ana family betimi a consider say e wo say wo ye wo yere because one ne wo ma e Ghana mremu no
Ana obema semotena several years. Ana wone oba muwo, whether in different countries or wherever. And you are not married based on these 3 types of marriages in Ghana. Under no circumstance does this arrangement translate into a marriage, unfortunately. Enti se waware woyere wo Ghana ena ebia somewhere in let's say Bonga Hafo wakonya obabi wo honom wone na wo anebia worry wo Nigeria wako wo honom ebia nkofo bi edi wechi omone nsa akoto honom based on the fact that you have contracted a monogamous marriage, there's no way you can contract any other marriage. So what happens, say, I know, say, sometimes, it becomes desirable, say, ebia, nkofone nsako, so that the kind of maybe disgrace or shame that comes with is based on how things are in Ghana. No? You just send that to kind of cover things up a bit. But when we look at Ghana, laws are a no. Under no circumstance does that translate into a marriage. And now, based on Dana, where is a monogamous marriage, any other aware say, even if you go, you comply with the rules and regulations. Now, we aware fufuro later in time. That later in time marriage, it has no effect legally. So it becomes bigamy. That person, say ebia oba, ena, she has become the beneficiary of that kind of thing. Later in life, Obeka say, oh, mawari kofi, enti, seba ejapade, I'm entitled to it, XYZ, unfortunately, by virtue of the fact that there's a monogamous marriage in place, any other subsequent marriage, whether you are aware, you are not aware, you carry no rights in law. If you have children, well, the children can be looked at in a different light. But for purposes of our reality, unfortunately, yes. Abia, you can consider suing the man. That is if you didn't know, but that is what can happen. Yes.
Question we me jai the amount me wo kasa enyina wi a within 4 minutes no fa bone to fa ne fa ye ko eye divorce emu me fa ne say why ordinance aware oba ne kunu enete e wo Ghana ho be ma no afri Ghana wo jai wo nyaye wo free Ghana akotena Abidjan Lagos wa ba abrochire nkrata asebunti no bia wo ba abrochire no kura no 20 years o ma eye Ghana onyai wo ba no wo court 20 years o ma eye Ghana na bia be ma no men kan say no kura de eya na enye comment ye oba na me de ne be ye me fa ne say oba no aba abrochire waja ni kunu ho wo Ghana ba abrochire 20 years nkrata asemunti no ontimi nya ne nkrata ma Ghana 20 years no be ma no sabi wonye dua enti be ma no afa wo ba wo ho wa ma wo 10 o ma wo 10 ana wa wo 1 wo Ghana ho oni wo ba ne netie wo Ghana ho ba wo ba no wa ekuromi ha ne de ontimi nko Ghana because of ne nkrata enye papa ana enye ye ontimi nko Ghana but omunya ya ware no wo court omunya ya ware no be oba ne ntimi ma be ma nsusu entimi ma no oba ne se me de mensan brewo be ma ne sa mekura mpokura wo kura wo ntimi ma biom ana wo nyin krata de bentimi me koje mensan fra busuafo ho na be ma akwa busua ho no akoje ensa se asemusia oba na owo abrochire na ontimi ma Ghana no owo se ewo mu bi ana wan ko jai wo court na wo ebusua na exchange drinks o majai wo efie no still oba no ewo say ewo se be ma no wa free mu a ana se BBC na in case e che properties bia oba no wo say ana de won ne te Ghana ho no ne na wo 10 one na wo 2 one na wo 3 no ono ene wo upper hand na wo wi afa ye ko divorce why.
Okay, you William Dasepa. And with scenario na wa mano, say Sina meka about sending drinks and all that for our real. No. When it comes to divorce, you also need to comply with the custom of the person involved. What I have realized based on experience, ne say sometimes obi beka say me ni wejai na ebia one nsano akoma obi, maybe somebody in the family, but later on that person's family will say that you were supposed to have sent it to the family head of that family. So I would make say it's a general yes or no, but you have to make sure that the drinks are sent to the proper person based on that person's custom. And the divorce will not be valid. And this can only apply if the marriage that was contracted was a customary marriage. If it wasn't a customary marriage, you can't divorce obi a waware no under ordinance no. Untumi emfa nsa enko se me ni wujai. It becomes problematic. Secondly, this scenario na woman about obana wache wo abrochire no. Assuming say nsa no de koye no, it complied with baby omufini bibia no. In terms of aware no, omwijai. That is, so far as it complies with this. And the divorce just ends the marriage. But when we say everything that you do, it bears fruit. Enti say aware, there were some fruits and benefits that came with it. So you can look at semunya ejapade ne adea. If the divorce has gone through, you can actually go to court and ask for some portion of the estate based on what you have put in. So that becomes something else to look at. Now look at say nipakuno say we dia. If the divorce was successful, then that means say you did not have any rights because you were divorced before the person died. If you were not divorced by that time, then if the person died and say no time no no will, then the court will look at the instructions based on the will and share the will based on those instructions. Say will no, it didn't cover all his assets. Not woman, no, you are a wife. You can actually apply to the court, say, court, may you say. On those terms, I should be granted reasonable provision, and the court can do that. Say, ebi anipa no so no when you were not divorced, not the marriage was still subsisting. And the person died without a will, and then someone saw the bill. So based on where you come from and PNDC law 111 say nipa kuno no ebi ano die back one, then die no it will go to yere no ena mbaten na wo kan no. Even though they are from a different mother, the house goes to the wife and the children. So nipa kuno no oja will ena it didn't cover all his assets, then the parts that covered his assets that will be distributed in accordance with his instructions. Part now, way one distributor no, it will fall under someone. So into the rules regarding intestacy no, spouse and children. So ABR, it goes beyond one house and all that, you know. Then we can look at the parents coming in and then the customary successor coming in.
Lawyer, me last question na me jawo. Me fan say, oh yeah, ejapade.
Yes.
Example, Mr. and Mrs. Oye obai, oye senior lawyer. Osaye barrister. Oye obai lawyer yenka no kure emotions yen tonchen. Yesua de abrochirefo ye kɔ wɔ haw mu. Esisie wom. Enti oye obai Ghana de with God all things are possible. Ewo ho. Enti woye wo bay na se wukunu ye japade wo Ghana. Wo be advice yen. Say ewo say ye no Mr. and Mrs. Kontomire. Anase Mr. Kontomire and Enyadoa. Mrs. Nyadoa. Obia amfa ono ani fie din. Enhye ho ana yenye no Mr. Mrs. because wo can say ye be japade say ye Mr. and Mrs. are the reason why ntia me busa no Mr. and Mrs. Nkontomire dia obia can be in Nkontomire because abrochire kura no be ho edin ne sese we the fish we the pate enti Mrs. Pate obia be man no Ghana ya wo kan ya obi kura so no de prefer traditional marriage because of benefit ye wo hu enti se ni e ma 10 e ne beba ho a Mrs. Pate na wo japade a wa bre woni wo kuna bre wo sweat wontimi mpagya kura na opagya Mrs. Pate enso so ba obeba ba gibi because obi aye Pate enti e pese ye hu se is it possible say moye couple la monya monnioma nyina mo together ana say advisable say moye bibia mudi mu mienu mudin mu fie di mudin amoma me ne papa de awo mo na wo bi free baby ba so ye Mrs. Pate a waka chen say hey Pate we nye wo kunu ne nko adea we ye Mr. Pate and Madam Kontomire edia enti e be che ama Madam Kontomire 50-50 any Mr. Patel ye wia Mr. Patel de na wanya no wodi bia koma ne mane ne mpnafo a wo mo wa akire pacho what dem person me chona say enti be advisable be tuefo say de me madwene ye me no enya no see no as a couple so there you need to do everything Mr. and Mrs. pacho kire ye niem
enti say mo wa ware mu a nya me kan say it's always good say it's separate. Intimate you say Johnny to say say wo Mr. Banche ena eyi Mr. A Banche ena Mrs. Amankeni Banche. Enti se mo wo joint account it should be in Mr. Banche ena Mrs. Amankeni Banche. Se eya asase anadan so a it should be that same way. Manenye Mr. and Mrs. But I will also add, say, there are a few technicalities, say, distribution, no, if you are doing it and you are just joint owners, that means, say, a Mr. and a Mrs. Nipa no be who first, no, automatically, no, ebe call the other person, until it becomes quite straightforward. But say ebia asase anadan a mu chemu na yebeka say Mr. Banche or 40%, Mrs. Amankeni Banche or 60%. In that vein, no, se bakungu that means say let's say so obema no hua obana won 60 enti obema no se owo wela then the 40% no it will distribution no ebe fall under sa 40% no so when say no new well nso a then nsamanso bebe na distribution no ebe fa no by way of spouse children say as if it's more than one house then you begin to look at elements of ne mama ne papa and a customary falling in line with customary law in accordance with the rules in place for baby ofi. And that is how it plays out. But for say if it's something like a joint account, and no put the say baku automatically no you call the other person or no means there's no need for any legal principles do not really come in. But some banks in Ghana, you realize that they will still ask, especially say if you canon a heavy power, they will ask for administration to be able to do that. Mpacho, I just want to add this thing as well. Say, when it comes to divorce as well, customary divorce in Ghana, no, because share UK laws and our idea no so no. Once what divorce it will be Ghana based on customary law, no, it is desirable, say, you would get the divorce certificate and then you can rely on it over here to show, say, when it nipakuno mwijai aware in terms of legal effects, no, say, no, aba area. Secondly, no, so no, say, eba separation, abroad quite a number of countries, almost allow for separation. But Ghana, your laws no, any kwan for separation. Enti se wone oba ana obema mo worry ebi at 20 years. Na figure na we do pension no. Ebi oba no or how adwen wakonya small girl bi a hochichi ore kakra. Say obema no wu a oba no can still come back and say na me yere. Enti bibia wo honom no media. Unfortunately no, the separation carries no effect in Ghana. And that is what I'll add. Medasepan.
Edasi bebre me you na me de lawyer Frank Abba eso before no chire wa chira pan na wo telephone number ba wo betimi a join me wo TikTok na ma pick wo TikTok e wa ha na me de lawyer Frank Abba be she wo ha no ntimpa chire wa chira pan say bia wo bi hia wo bi wo manso bi a wo kotwe ne Ghana ni kurom ya lawyer Pauline dey very good when we talk about some lawyer wo ye good wa hey boko na emu ye powerful lawyer me pacho chire wachira kwan na yenko.
In the UK, no, you can get me at Football Solicitors. Ghana, no, I work with Agnos Law, so you can find me there. Major me office number, which is 020. In the UK, it is +44 020 3325 7030. But so person who may directly in Swan based on maybe Ghanaian law, then you can contact me on +44 073 988 64613. Madam Wasepa, Yame Shobia.
So yeah, that lawyer Pauline say oye adwuma ewo oye eye solicitor ewo eye Fort World solicitors so okasa ye na ne ho na meeting timante e ho na oye adwuma enti Fort World for number no de 2 dwa na ye 0203325730 ana wo de mommy a oye very brutal when it's come to divorce family law obeti ni say ta ejapade manso oye di sa ne enti no won katwi no otwe ankasa jo lawyer Emi mamemra wo so lawyer Emi ho ayefe abroso ene dodo ho ayefe munyina me lawyers no lawyer PK ne lawyer Pauline no mo sa abrofo munyina ne mu ye late enti na time ne kono enti no emre ni ho sa lawyer Daniel woni ma de kronti amama watena so sa no wona aye last because na aba last lawyer Frank ba wona be free her last Sani ese ye be kono aha lawyer PK wo de transfer nem no na ye adwuma because wa bo adwuma lawyer Emi memra wo so wo ho ayefe abro so dodo mi jaima wa na chese wa chi adofo na chese wo koso a no no lawyer Emi wo ye wo ba enti don't talk with emotions name talk about the facts mame me ene better me see me ntimi nye judge adwuma de me mpe because why hwe ya me de judge no me tena ho a me sentence nkofo 80 years ne 90 years ntimi nye adwuma no aha lawyer Emi wo chi adofo ewia enye advert ye ubewi a memo akire wo kira kwan na emo mo be chia adofo as a senior lawyer wo san executive director Edema Abinel solicitors no lawyer yenima brochirefo abrochirefo ya ware sebi edin ya ahomete wonne wo ba ebetena de minimum be ma bi a oba abo no ankasa joint accounts no be sori ano de mo maame obe itimi ne panties gu ho na ne kunu yi si obesi nuoma fitia no pa na akora san hye nachi edie benti abrochira ware oba na wo upper hand e wo de so ba efie bi omu a oba na wo upper hand de so be ma na opie kwa abonten a bra ne behwe obe pie ne yiri nkobi party bia so be hia no eye bia so be hia be ma e wo ho na okura bank card no okrai dabia ne yere so te dem wada enti lawyer Emi me patcho na me pesa me no di nkoma fa joint account any properties in marriage enti no ye kase joint accounts okra na eye de ba de me patcho chi adofo na etifo na ye efa yewrem
for Jared for yeah almost this very afternoon meeting the lawyer Amy me free Abinel solicitors yeah head of practice na eneme dase pan se one mama sa wonderful akwenya we are minimal bekasa into bless you all and thank you so much. All right, into you best started with
lawyer me patcho koso
that's it. If I started with joint account, okay, and say a kind of joint account is exactly the literal meaning. A casa is an account held by two or more persons. And to say a warifua, for example, a bear oba warifua, ne bema warifua, husband and wife, our mukita account ba and they may withdraw funds without consent without the consent of each other. Into ye kind of sa trimu I say umbetimi akọ bank obia betimi adika akọ bank akọ withdraw ska without onipakron the other person's consent. And such an account usually entails a right of survivorship. And not say obi wa the deceased the party or tiasiano or no benya all the rights that stem from the joint account, which is advantageous. So that when the person dies, it says when the person dies, or no the sole beneficiary. You see, there's an interest in joint accounts, and it's not divisible. I'm say, but each of the parties hold 100% interest in the property and are therefore said to have what is known as unity of interest. Into your kind unity of interest now, or more interest ni nya akoye baako. Sikasemo I wa account money nya akoye baako kama. And there's four other unities. Unity of possession, unity of interest, unity of title, and unity of time. One says sa unities ni nya ne kyerɛ sɛ akabo mu nsɛm. Sikana e woman no bibia mo kambom and you are unified. Sikana ewo account no mu. So that is what a joint account really is about. Anna say ukita joint account no as husband and wife, for example, because you can have a joint account as other parties, but to a marriage, no, okay, a joint account as some of the benefits, no, bebree, and as some of the disadvantages, and so, na bibia ye way no back, na ye way no back, so. Some of the advantages you say is easier financial management. Into makabomono, moya unified no, mudiska kotumwa at least mutimi manage. Ebi amo plan se mo beto bibi njapade bi. Ebi amo plan se mo beye mo expenses. Ni nya no makabom a mo try se mo planning mo finances together. That can be seen as an advantage. And also a once a bema bibi a your friend improved budgeting. Internet chess a more budgeta. Said the economy necessity to me a dino. Say a joint account mutumi the more income no akabom amane ye fe say woni wo kun and woni wo yire mo ka say okay this month you have £4,000 your budget say by close of the month the 2,000 e be free mo ba 2,000 no free mo ba wie 2,000 aka no ye de ye de be ye savings. That's a very big advantage, and it increases saving potential. As we would always say, of course, two heads are better than one. Inti nipa me na mo save idea there. Say income free baby ba na income so free baby ba. Ebebomu na etimi emma savings no increase into share accounts no na accounts no emwa ye. And it also encourages better communication between the two parties because ebia utmi be bank account no prekope. Now check the outgoings and the incoming transactions no. Now betimi na kasa odo me pacho enrai u spend about £300 on atade o mpacho eya na wahwe ne ye kakra na me who say spending habits no ya kosro taste ya kosro kakra nti na wahwe ne ye. So these are some of the advantages of a joint account. Now the disadvantages, be a woman, unfortunately, no, there's an advantage and there's a disadvantage. The disadvantage is a shared debt. It is a joint account. Na joint account, nyamia yamwadum, omama a huge overdraft. Amukitem se scanimua, overdraft, no ne cushion mount. Na se debi scanimua na overdraft, mo komu be £3,000-4,000. Se yes, as is unified, no, wuni nipa krono, mu be share sa debt no. And me banner say, Ubeka say, hey, well, me dear, me fast can to move. Now, me, yes, say, oh, Debbie, Sikabia be common, a be cover overdraft, no. Inti say, we pay, come on, we self employment, come on, income, be a become benefits, whatever is going into the joint account, no. Kai say, overdraft, no, which is a debt, a short term liability, no, a befa for both of you, into debt, no, mo share it. And also, loss of independence and privacy is also a disadvantage. Anka said me kind wako tata de £300. Pesa will spouse be home. So sabi no will taste quite high. Pesa will be who say what tata de pesa who say we shopping now wako ye grocery shopping no more ye din papa na ska will spend no a dozen. And no so ho say untimi nya sa privacy no say a joint account because mummy and mutimi be wo phone so modern technology a share bank app so share again cause cannot too much. Into these are some of the disadvantages. And another disadvantage I want to say both parties betimia ra account no prekope akoyiska consent bia ni ho. Internet let's say mo ye joint savings pepe bi mo plan say mo to dan but nipa ba ko wo mo say or tra flight akọ baby or one bisa or sebe utumi use a card online utumi ko withdraw iska without consent one bisa wakọ bear £2,000-3,000 at ticket. I bet a big disadvantage because it's unified. You are planning your life na abane say nipa ba ko akoyiska without your consent. On that same line, no, can say there's potential conflict etimi din tokwa ba awariem say joint account wa ade no a me can say definite, but there's a possibility because so bitimi yiska abra on country no, and there's nothing that is illegal about it now. Etimi de into kwaba fie ade na wo faska bra on country me dofo bibia ye beko through no ese wutimi ne me discuss answer. But in this case, you can go on your own and do what you want.
Lawyer, me that say our joint accounts, na joint accounts, no, they will start to say we call disadvantage in the Tokabeba because no can me bebusa say yes, there will can disadvantage the problem beba because we be shopping na be who also or try take it na be who tatare any good mum because okofa ne mpra kora ne kogina baby to ade e be reflect also the amount obe hu na no gina ha ebe hu na no gina wa joint accounts wo kunu da bia wo si party ase yi ase je tu botom okwa no ade yo lawyer erade enhira lawyer mi fa ye bra eye properties so that is a joint account no lawyer mi a kire mu lawyer mi wo ton ede wa kire ye mu am ye hu si disadvantage on say do say de wo ye ne ho ye ma disadvantage. Any advantage in there no I'm going to say advantage not just ye malo wom but disadvantage advantage more the card will be ad ne de beto and there will be any better lawyer me fire bra a joint accounts on your free or bra a properties in marriage a good idea as a senior solicitor as a senior solicitor lawyer I will sign your bar. A good idea in marriage, say a couples are lawyer pike my yehu say ye wo court marriage ewo ahase ye kromi hase no ono eno no ope court marriage ope court marriage and ope Ghana de no ope court marriage that's good why are there because won pe benefit bia wo ho Ghana de no enti ase ewo court marriage no as a couple am register with court no wo be advice ye say ye property bia say wokoto carpet property bia no as a couple mumie no be use Mr. and Mrs. and what receipt so papers ya mo be ye ho ana say wo be advice ye say ye properties in marriage obi anya ne de enko.
Yes, my advice is say you may use the joint names, dear, but I say you full names about that property no in Kratano so I say your full name and to me you say Mr. and Mrs. Debbie and anyway even in the UK in Krano you need to provide your full name. It definitely I think say joint properties it's a very good it's good. It has its advantages and disadvantages too.
Eye good no me pese me busa say ye betimi wo betu for say okay yenye good joint properties eye good say be joint properties ena se obi a be hu no oba we yi sine dan ko oba wotimi ko adwuma woda no an ho ni kunu so ni mu ko se ya mabre because wo si ni kuro mu dan ena ni kunu susu si ni kuro mu dan. Because on per se asemo beba na be ma abusuafo most no me abusuafo lo ye mi wo ye British month you don't know what I'm talking about be ma abusuafo asemo si na be ma abusuafo apam oba na firifie ho ene ne ma enti oba bu wo a wo hwe ne nsew nom ene na abusuafo ne nsew abusuan ni kuna abusuafo ne yire abusuafo na wo hwe wo mo kohia wo ba bi ani nuanom wi ta wusie da bi atui o ma no mo wo properties obepam wo ye be ma obepam se ni nua ba de a wo ye oba nso so a be ma most no ya na me abusuafo ne tate sa ye ba ne na si fie no enso no onim se aware bi wo ho a oba fim oba na ye cash machine wo fie but be ma no na da bi okọ na koye properties koye ejapade ni ntina abusua nim se ye be ma na ne dia enti no is it good idea say oba besini de enko na be me esini de enko oba eto ne de enko na be me eto ne de enko ana say no as a oba as a solicitor no wo be advice ye say yen kamom wo de yenyi mra no ene me this kitwa we no don't call yourself solicitor wo ye yanti de anti wo be advice ye say yenye obi anya ne de separate ana ye ya warefo ne de Ye kabo mu a ene ya na.
Yeah, that's it, sister. Yes, a worry for dear. Of course, as we know, so you share even the definition of marriage, no, a couple, a set man and wife, omu cleave, isn't of course, until they come together as a family unit. Until me, I would always, from my perspective, I would always say, well, joint properties, because joint properties, Yen Kai said, there are legal rights that stem from it, providing said, oh yeah, there is a way. If it's a registration of a legal title, you make sure say within ever cost title no subi. This is what prevents future litigation, future disputes. Baby, I can be say family members betimi abamu once a registration, the legal registration takes place, whether it be property, whether it be a joint account, whether it be machinery. Once that legal registration takes place, that forms, that legally binding document. Say BBC Dachia ubetimia kotamsa document. I can say, well, legally, no, this was registered in our joint names. Inti wedie, inti mimbane se wodia. Se into kwabetimia bahun kwandia. Then, as we know, that is why the courts are there. So it stems from legal registration. And should there be any dispute that arises from that, no, and no, na yebetimi da about an impartial judge in him now I decided. But say a kase yebeye nyama soul. So as a married couple, and no, sometimes can be quite complex. Even after say ube free once you are doing things in your sole name, no, unless of course you do a will, it can be quite difficult. That's what I think. Yeah.
Na memra lawyer Daniel lawyer mi wo ye wo be as a senior lawyer and as a woman no say ene woni wo kunu wo properties wa wo bre wo kwa adwuma wo mai gugu ka mu na lawyer mi hwi woni wo kunu nyina your sweat together na mo ye properties no ma ye ni nyina bubom lawyer mi solicitors lawyer mi farm lawyer mi whatever na ma ye ni nyina bomu a na Erade mfasa ma se be ma ni free mu ana se be wo ba bia wo no kunu no be ma ni free mu a maye mo properties nyina abom together with Mr and Mrs Kwadwo Bode aye abom no na se be ma ni free mu na enkura foforo ebe ka kire wo se ma ye papa ni we ya wo be che properties na mo mu bia na because mo ka ho.
Well, no. The answer to that is no. Me and check property living home. First of all, so what we're in Kwandia, then the rights that stem from marriage would mean say we get free more and now we free more by virtue of the marriage. No, when Japadini nya woja no ebe to nipa surviving party no so. Inti se obi ba na beka se open Japadini bia. Because of our warrior, by virtue of the marriage, the marriage being registered and legally binding, into and it just anything. So we check. Say a wow pe no pesa we chen kwadia. That's fine, but legally, so a warrior now will in the hokrana now your spouse a free more. That is what stems. So there are different types of properties anyway. I don't know. So mama time or what am I into that? But yes, generally no. I would say yeah. I wouldn't share it anyway. I wouldn't. Yeah.
Finalizing the member was men call lawyer Daniel eso Abnel solicitors any lawyer me etwetwe enkomo no any kitchen enkomo lawyer Daniel mechiawo me pacho me gidi se rade adomo ho pa lawyer Daniel ho aye fa bro so blaze fe Ublazer nefe pa lawyer me pa chow ene ye ne lawyer Daniel Kwe ene ba betwetwe eye enkomo efa eye wills and prove it ehom as a couples ye wo abrochire wo abrochire properties ye sibi wo Ghana ye sibi wo Dubai ye sibi wo ha ye sibi wo ha ya tobi wo kuromi ha sei abrochire ehom ene ye beka lawyer me pese wo be chia adofo no akire wo kira kwan na maba wo so concerning about will ye use 10 minutes ewo ho.
Yo, me da si bebre sister bna ene ehwai me che obi bia a wa join e programming so wo hwe wo YouTube wo TikTok wo e wo Ghana wo UK me che obi bia se dia wo kan ye no your family Daniel Koi me fi for 12 solicitors intine and pay me che obi a.
Yo, lawyer Daniel say ene ochia wo bia lawyer Daniel me patcho ye pese ye hu say ye kase rule a ya na enkofo bebre no efu say will no eye wo ye wo no na doctors declare wo say china wo bewu e na waba be ye wo will ye pese wo de ye be kọ kakra bone tofa because what 10 minutes pe wache enti ene mocheche enti ye mre ne kọ ye pese wo explain ni e kire ye say will wo ye will na won so ye what traditional will ne ye wo court will na me an ma make me ho sa traditional will no ene se wo no ahye ne dem no atwero will no yes wo de ahye ne sumi ase wo wu a na de wo atwero will no wanyina ho no abeyi abase o me papa ewu de will de sha me eno ne traditional will court will de ye papa enye fake enti e pese wo kire ye mu eye will no na ye ba me ba questions a me de bibusa no so use 2 minutes pe e kire will no na answer na ye be koso no lawyer me pa cho wa ware na wa ware a eye court wa ware ana benefit one ni bia.
Sister na de why dwen say and an pop e dey also dey asem by my worry in a quarter worry. In fact, yeah, sorry there my worry. You know, at least you know where I come from. Say the okay, you know, you can't well, I will a year trick as I because me my main pay enye ho. Into the will is a document that you prepare. I would be share the open say yeah in case it said that should be would you or basically that is what a will is. Now will no advantages be brave because it brings certainty yɛmpɛ a situation where obi ɛnni hɔnom na ntɔkwa aba me papa pɛ sɛ anka yɛsie no wɔ UK ɔpɛ sɛ anka yɛsie no wɔ Ghana ɛwɔ ne kura ase ɔpɛ sɛ yɛyɛ se na ɛde ntɔkwa aba nti the will is one of the things nkurɔfoɔ use to make sure sɛ deɛ ɔpɛ sɛ ɛsi biara no it will be there. Now, for a will to be there, no, so you need to follow certain legal processes. One, will now will sign, and it need to be witnessed. Na wo witness nso a enye sɛ wo witness no na beneficiary no na air witness nti ne sɛ wo ye will na opɛ sɛ ebia wo de agapade nya ɛma wo mba ntimi nya will no na wo nka sɛ oh me ba kwesi brana be witness ade a me ye it will render the will as invalid nti no there are rules a ye will obi bɛka sɛ oh ebia mpɛ sɛ me save sika nti na me kɔ W Smith makoto paper will no ma bɛtwerɛ de a mepɛ wobɛtumi ayɛ saa but sɛ when follow the processes na one hwɛ document na wowɔ no ɛbɛdu mmerɛ no ayɛ hia no ne aka kyerɛw sɛ ɛnyɛ valid apart from that no nso no woka sɛ ebia yɛwɔ traditional will no yɛdi traditional will no yɛwɔ court will yɛ will it doesn't matter what it is but so long as we follow procedure no so ɔdɔ nsa koraa na ɛkyerɛw yɛ na sɛ we follow all the rules of a will ɛwɔ executor ɛwɔ beneficiary wayɛ then nitty-gritty na say a core will no so it can be determined as a valid will but yeah na nkrofon so enim say so we will na ye hu say ehun there's any ehun atchima bia hu ate wo de two papers na ye na wo staple ye na wo yi fees no ade fofo it will render the will invalid into rules be brave or will hu ne papa mu I will tell people say we betimi am lawyer enye will no apart from that no so no why will no so ewie no Krum has say you can take the will to be stored by HMRC Into the why will na wie no benka say oh mekoye will na me de koma HMR so mehu bebia me japade wo mba ba me taco there be there was a will place I be silly will no aye de be ko ho no into just say why will no now they share one pass here with them what they show one pass na say wo ba panyi bi ekohu na ohun say we ni din afimu a otimi fa no otete no na che say asem de na asem ko so you need to make sure say adeɛ na woyɛ no baabi a ɛsɛ sɛ wode sie ne adeɛ no nyinaa no you've done the processes na obi wɔ hɔ sɛ ɔbɛyɛ well well na ɔbɛyɛ no koraa mpo no ɔnka nkyerɛ obiara sɛ wayɛ well ɔde hyɛ ha anaa ɔde hyɛ ha ase ɛno nso ɛtumi cause problems nti the will deɛ ɛyɛ very important document we encourage people say do it sɛ wobɛtumi ayɛ ayɛ especially mo a mote kurom ha se a mowɔ aburokyire obi wɔ hɔ nom a ɔte ha wakɔware obi ɛwɔ ha aware no so yɛnim sɛ nkurɔfoɔ ware bebree for so many reasons obi wɔ hɔ nom a ɔdɔ nti na wakɔware obi wɔ hɔ nso a nkrataa nti na wakɔware whatever reason nti a wode akɔware no make sure sɛ well bi wɔ baabi akɔyɛ because well aware na wakɔware no it brings a lot of advantages sɛdeɛ na yɛn lawyer Pauline ɛɛka no woware a ɛyɛ contract that brings some benefits and responsibilities nti no wowɔ hɔ nom a we always encourage people say ɔmbɛyɛ wɔ one sɛ wowɔ mba ebia wowɔ mba within marriage okay na wakɔ wowɔ baabi nso a bɔ mmɔden ayɛ well because wobisa lawyer Amy question bi sɛ nti sɛ wowɔ hɔ nom no na sɛ yɛde akwalaa bi afi baabi aba na sɛ yɛnka sɛ biribi asi ɔno ɔka kyerɛ plain ɔno anyɛ argument ɔsɛ ɔno deɛ ɔmpene yes ha nti no sɛ woyɛ bɛɛba nso na wɔ hɔ nom na sɛ wonim sɛ wakɔ wowɔ baabi a make sure sɛ you do the well to cover those aspects as well. These are some of the things and the reason why will is very, very important. Will it does not mean say obabe there be. Will that you have to do whilst you are alive, and then they are living documents. It's the last thing Paul Fatonia waiting here whilst I know dear your grandpa it can work. Into the will dear may encourage you obi bia oba abroach say you can do be over say me ni property bia ewo Chrome has said, who has a mayor. If you are now need property or Chrome about property or Ghana, you can do the will here and still incorporate the assets back home. It was our will now. Why you know? But you also only property crampona or pension or life insurance. All those documents near properties and I say assets are that should be wuni honoma a bit me ama and tokwa aide aba. So we strongly recommend say for ebe will. Me that's it, Sabna.
Lawyer Daniel cover all the questions na me pese busa ne nyina no wawi o wa cover ne nyina wi chese wo de oyebu o yekupim why we computer no why we awie lawyer wa cover ne nyina da me last question na me be busa as lawyer okay se wo ne wo kunu enete na se baako efri mu na se will eni emu a wa anye will na mo wo properties ne ye ne den.
Yeah, okay. So Chrome has say UK has say Owa has say na say when you kunu eti na say without a will. You're distributing. Your friend is said dying intestate. You died without a will. If you died without a will, you were run extreme a quine you distributing assets. And for the first £320,000 worth of assets, a call ban or banner the surviving spouse, the first £320,000. You say, hey, dear, more dying. The dynamo one is worth £500,000. Okay, now say the London and you can dine a widen into the asset is worth £500,000. See, your value property now £320,000 no ebeko obane ho. The rest and I said the remaining amount na ebeka no ye chim pepepe half okay na half akọ ọbaa no ho then the other half no akọ nkwalaa no ho no they share it equally okay into no say nkwalaa no yɛ 10 a yɛbɛkyɛ mu obi abenya pepepe enye so obi nya bi eja obi in fact yɛka sɛ nkwalaa nso krampo ɛwɔ kurom ha se a they don't have any difference between legitimate children and illegitimate children into no say obema na anaasɛ deɛ owuiɛ no ɛwɔ ɛmba efi outside wedlock rampo na they will still include saa akwalaa no in the distribution of the assets. So something that people need to know. Na ɔbaa na anaasɛ nipa na ɔsurvive deɛ wewu no, ɔno deɛ any personal belongings a ɛyɛ deɛ wewu ne deɛ no, it goes to ɔbaa ne hɔ. Nti no let's say sɛ nipa no ewu owu no na or Rolex watch bi a ne boy den enya afa say bi say Rolex watch dey de ma hwan de ma hwan ekọ ọba na ono ti ase ne ho straight away ne ntare ne nchensen ne nkuku nkaka bi a ewo fie bi a it goes straight to the ọba no but ye yi eno ni wie na e bi or pension or savings or bibia ne de all the assets ne ever together. The first 320,000 goes to the Oba. No, then the difference is distributed. And nunti na ya na nkrofo dream say ninya no ekọ Oba no na say ninya akọ nipa na wa survive nipa ne ho no because e bia na assets no crown no and do 300,000. E bia na assets ni 100,000 per. Che say 100,000 na che say nkwala na ewo mu ni de mo di loss mu nya hwe ninya no ebekọ Oba no. If e bia wawo ewo baby ansa na wo ba be ware na wanye well na say wo film a na kire say omo a wo omo outside the marriage no e likely say omo nya kapre simply because of the rules of interstate na e was so e wo krom ha say into something that people need to be very much aware of and yes na etimi e cause issues.
Lawyer say oni wo kunu netie na wowu na wo ye ne will nyina ma ne girlfriend ne ba ene ne ba maame a wo as a married woman no wo as a married woman wo betimi a dispute.
Yes,
my last question
yes, ubetimi a dispute on the basis say you had reasonable expectations say bema no ankode inyama ni bi ebe ma but say okohu lawyer papa na ochro well ne man na ochro well ni yie dia one hwa would dispute then kosi hwe. Let me explain the reason why I'm telling you this. Say oko W.H. Smith no koto well no abeshare them not sure ya obet or say japade nya ama me side checker or baby and I'm a girl bia or shape crema or the obia enim no. However, so oba lawyer ho in a lawyer ni nim dia all ya obetimi aka say okay so one person di bibia be jawo yere dia this is how we are going to draft the will. What do we japade nya be ma girlfriend no but o yere no e bia o bible bibia ehye wo on pass no person this bible no e ma wo yere so we yes adie na when they take their will to the court the judge will say enye say arefi no ni refi wo na wa ma hwe or Kyle but they are not person they ma your bible. Would you onim say na open bible bo bible fie into na open say oja o bible into the bible a show sa but a japade no they will say on pay we are say japade into the we are say japade na command a girlfriend no the bible a show sa into no untimi embe contest we on ewa ha say so it is possible into no don't let us assume say because you are worrying automatically no we are entitled to certain things and no Paul and not all case it's also important says more to a japadia na more ye assets better say obema within akosa assets no so inti no say more dying bi crown pona na mu mienu nua mu din e wo so a say wo ye we na of the could mat the girlfriend enya wo die na o percentage na e wo mu no na o yakoma the girlfriend at least wo die na e wo mu die you can take it without any issues inti no that is the message e wo sa question ni.
ya sem papa na waje bosia na de ko na woju bosia na de ma be ma se ko ye bra no wonim so wo bosia ne se no obi a wo ma be ma sika mo ye japade a wo hye wo ni receipt no abodate ato so no ma stamp na de ato so aha lawyer Frank me pacho na ho te say me gidi se rade adom ho ye lawyer Frank uye sre lawyer no comment na ho ye yo lawyer Frank watch dodo what you say we ye baby last nti wampa What the aha kra why last wa ha baby last. One pa why last wa ha. Lawyer Frank yemre no dada enti no
Yeah.
me do be go straight to the point. Lawyer Frank ye one of the executive director senior solicitor edema mascot solicitors and ye ne be twetwe nkomo ye ne Lawyer Frank be kasa tofa ewo on Lawyer Frank de on kasa bebre boko no awie ye ne be kasa kakra bi afa divorce divorce or ye very good specialist in divorce minimutakum takum fo bi okromi ha you cannot defeat him and any divorce no be kwa properties na be ka ho enti no lawyer me pa church a etiefo any adofo na ye kasafa abrochire Ghana de lawyer Pauline de nka be chire Ghana divorce abrochire divorce divorce ne kra ka divorce a ne sen ye de na me divorces no eba na ehe ne ye divorce babusuafo mo be hia wo fie wo kromi ha na obi ade ne nsa kome mo bibia talking about court aware lawyer PK din kan chire mu nyina wie ntim wa wo ye Mr and Mrs court de no eno na ye ka ho divorce enti me pa chire divorce ene divorce no hwan ne timi ye divorce oba timi ye divorce be metimi ye divorce ana mejai de ama
Me da ase. Ati for Madam Ice machi majo say ene de mo afuma ku atena se na mutie. Menuanom dan PK and Abrina. The master seven so motivation no ma mo kire margin. It's a very good topic, and when you told me, I said that it's a topic that the community needs to be aware of, so that as we are going by our daily activities, we also think about if happen. So if can be divorce, if can be death. So if we forget if, we will run into ditch. That's why it's always important not to forget if in life. Now, so I can't divorce wa say the any no say our different mawadi. Now, of course, me Ghana's me nyajuma wa Ghana ntim mekasa wo krom ha say. Then pray people no obon say airport awade. E krom ade hia pa no say I register wo awade. Of course, ABA we call Church of England and I say other recognized churches now more authority to officiate marriage and so on and so on. But most often, council never call na yakwa worry. And to call council maybe me find say our ma separate ma kwatina mo baby and nipa bebre ho no ma I have a typical case. Say ye dealing with now omo separate for over 20 years and papa no akwatena Jamaica and maame no ewu nti maame no wu ye no woni eba nso unfortunately ne ba ko owo nso wu nti bema na one no ho magya awade a wo free se busuafo nyina free se o magya awade no waba ese maame no japade ne dia ade nti a o mawade no o mu enkunu but abusuafo nso nyina anim se awade no agu for over 20 years here can say maame no crime se no wo partner bia no ne 90 but of course o ma amare official but the omonim say de no one ne ti no na wade no agu but say ne nkrata also engui enti say oni oba montamu eye basa na office awade no muntimi nto aso bi ma the best thing to do is say either party no obey issue petition to end the marriage, because once you know that the marriage has broken down irretrievably, there is no need to waste time without finalizing the divorce. Until the first thing say either Obana na Bemano obey issue petition, then the other party will acknowledge it. In this country, the good thing is that you don't need to pass blame on divorce. It's no blame divorce process. So, na me know to okra na me hu say ho from me bitimi sorry go awade no. I don't need to explain why I am the person me go awade no. Enti so wonim say awade na agudi a e pa cho fa lawyer na say wa so nim kwan abefa so a be issue divorce one, not or issue divorce. The other party will acknowledge it, and later on you get the free said decree nancy and now conditional order. I just say after conditional order no our day ni begu no koraa. Nti sɛ yɛngu awade no koraa na even ɛkɔduru mfimfini na sɛ wofiri mu a ɔbaa no anaa bɛrima no a na wo ne no ware a mangu awadeɛ no ɔtumi bɛgye wɔ agyapadeɛ sɛ wonni will wɔ hɔ nom a. And even if you have a will, as my brother Daniel was saying, even if you have a will, that's a will no was not apportion a part of your assets to your surviving spouse. He or she can easily go to Inheritance Provision Family Act 1975 and establish that he or she was dependent on you. Under the circumstances, financial provisions must be made available to him or her. And in was say our no gu a na wagu no koraa. Awade no gu na sɛ mowɔ agyapadeɛ nso a na ɛhɔ no nso yɛ another option. I was say mokyɛ. It depending on the circumstances, sɛ nkora wɔ mu anaasɛ nkora nim. It depending on circumstances, contribution a obiara de ba awade no mu. It depending on circumstances, whether the property or the assets you have are joint properties, or if it's maybe a house is tenancy in common, or maybe individually you run your own life or you have joint banking. So there are a lot of complexity around the rules in relations to sharing as well. But the most important thing is ubegu awade because man twitwa awade no a japade bi wɔ kra na amontimi enche. Of course, say mugu awade no na Lawyer Daniel and Abina was saying something about will, which I will add my views on to it as well. And it's very important. Yeah, can say na also busuafo nyina no mutumi adwene sɛ yɛde wei bɛkɔ kwa adwendwen because enipa free asase so a the chitimi yɛ basa. And nti na will and as a trust documents are very important because it's not only even a surviving spouse who can claim from the estate if there's a no will. Assuming there is no will, now maybe maybe millions of pounds, you know, you are multi-millionaire. Now, first 322,000, as lawyer was saying, from effective from July 2023. Currently, 322,000 about Obanho. Half of your estates, Yachim. Obana be 10 million. I can 322,000. Personal assets, so they all can realize whatever you have here, dear man. And then you have another, can I say, 500 million or 10 million. Yachama one pepe. But a beer now a nipa beer no o depend and so also. It could be your former spouse, it could be your brother or your sister, it could be some extended family member, and I said nipa beer no. If the person can prove with a balance of probability, say, not what no, not what depend on you. It will depend on you and nipa no me I make a claim under the Inheritance Provisions of Family Act 1975. But ABS any panels no, not a temporary na IS a one, and yet for permanent. But a name say, or what evidence it say, papa and I'm a metiasian, or ne shame, be disabled, and I say, a former spouse, but still now, or how transfer £1 to my accounts, and I comment to me, I'm a con or boame. It is say when you hold more, yes, the year now our ends is saying, yet in the man. The man who said, no, dear man, but me may be. But under the Inheritance Provision of Family Act 1975, meet me at a claim about for financial provisions. And it's not so will maybe I'll be who says any power in person over major, but they be crying out. But why ya DBI ya person of a ben or Japadi or some specific people be and our person will benefit here. It's better to do well. Tina de America after divorce and will. But that's I'm saying yeah, until we go. So for me, until one can. Okay.
Yada lawyer Frank asibebre lawyer Frank me last question na me busa na ya fa 5 course pe na ya me pa mo cho answer me busa lawyer no wa person wo busa any question bia 00447502422799 wo betimi abaso na ya pick ye fa 5 yi pe na ya ko any Saturday me lawyer si nyina mo ye busy lawyer say wo ne obi ja ware e bia wo be ware oba na be ware be ma na property wo mu dada ana wo ba ne ye housewife ono ne hwefi ye bibia se mu gya ya ware a properties a mo wo ware ni mu no oba ne kapre nka ho ye wo be ma no no akọ adwuma no waya no aba be ye oba no mu gya ware a wo se ye manager pade no ebia na me bam chewa wo pese wo ba call ni subia no pese wo question bia pese obusa lawyer lawyers ya quick one metimi afa na wo busa lawyer na ya didumedie no na wie ye mesre wa.
Okay. So I mean, there's different models, attached to each circumstances. Maybe I'll be worried about no one make it worth. Normally, the court will consider time I will buy, a japadia and bearman aye account. Ebium, and no more. Normally, they will consider from the time of the marriage. Now, say ABR more worry, na obano and as a bearman on your juma. And no interest a japadia bearman na obana no untimi jibi. Se court no ya check contribution is a factor ombe check emawum emanu wuma ehin emana ete one any man a cancer and crown ebetna ombe check the length of the marriage a short marriage or the long marriage ombe check debt our dinimo and the assets in the marriage enti enye say ebia we alpha £1 ama £2 manti or no onyahwe nyasanity. We look at all factors and based on the factors the both party can negotiate. If the both party are not able to negotiate and come to amicable settlement, then of course the court will intervene and then there will be a financial disclosure, and from financial disclosure there will be some kind of questions and issues to be dealt with. Sometimes in extreme circumstances, you can also plead on conduct, which normally is very difficult to bring conduct in a financial settlement, but it's not impossible. It's a lot of factors and the Bebema court in the beach now. So I will say, okay, say nipa way wa say and I say, yeah, the net assets our deal SYZ and Kurati has say way my way you say into any yema way 10%, yema way 40%, yema way 60%, and sana yache yes to say other said we ye juma na onye juma no and on say our dear no sika wuma undibi unso be dibi ewo, but as to how much will be nyano will determined by a lot of circumstances.
Na chese ye wie ne de dwumadi no aba no na wie ye nana mepa cho ye ma wo akwaba e de ba na skimpen ato TV so mepa cho na ho ye
Yankopa adom me ho ye
ye da oba de ase nana chi adofo ne atiefo na ye nkomodie ne so
adofo ne atiefo ene lawyers mpanyefo a mo studio me mo nyina ha awie
amojo so
me jide se mo nyina mo ho ye se de me ho ye ya
or therefore will be a ho ye nana ye mre no ekoye mbra wo so wo ye ganafo nyina agya wo ye papa wo san akoye panyi a woda ye nyina ya no ene ye di nkomo efa eye aware ho aware ene ejapade wa aware mu ene enipadodo a wo ware so be ware bia kan yere no ho so ware bi kan yere no ho esisie ni greediness e wa aware mu ne de ebe no wo ye papa de de afutuo in January de lawyers a kire mu akire ye nyina no e de afutuo na ene wo de be ma yen
yo etiefo me sanso me chia mo biom na ene mani age pa e wo lawyers mpanyefo a do mba afidie so yi oma bibia da bi pefe emuda ho nti wa want to maybe as na ene me gidi se what ene maybe as na fruit wa me de be ma Ghana 4 year akope omo kasafa aware ahodo miensa ye wo Ghana na eye efi aware na abusu aware nkremofo aware eni aware a eye no court me say you no mema ene mutie sa programming etu yenfu bebre obi biara wo yire ya woni ne register wo court no but who what ne say umpe wo asem enware bi enka ho so aware efi aware na aware bi aka ho dia ejide say enye problem akofo obi de ne be sha aware no wa bra wa boni pa kra mane so wo aware won krata so ejide say wa ha ne pa be na wo twi mi no me free Ghana pa e meti phone so na ensem bi koso a e ma ho meti na ene lawyers na ma no ma bia dadi mama ti ase nti mo asansem na e koso no monti ase a e bi di atem ne bi ka ensem bia emfata no se mutie de lawyers enyasafo enan ase no wo fi ai e be kan ya me gidi se e muda ho pefe se bere ma no oba ware e won krata so no oba ne tini baby ne be ma ne tini baby so far as aware ne ewu e won krata so
omo ya warefo
into baby a be ma bi dada o se me ware ana ware do akofie akoye fie ware bia no akobo abrabo bia ye kan se wato ampa ho e che se de ekekan be ma ne firi mu a ahwa no wanya hwe obeboka etimi sremo a mutie sanse munsua bibi mfiri mu
ya pick osre
sai na yenua ma no so munsua bibi mfiri sama lawyers ya ka kire be ma bi hia no dada so be ware hwe mu hunu se be ma no obi ko be ka kire so ba me ni na ja ampa ena na lawyer de Jamaica ni bi ka se 20 years ni o ena obey ti ni baby be ma ti no ya bi pese owu ba ye be ma na so aba se na ire no ba na ampa so ye hwe mu no nkrata so aware ni wi enti mesre mi nua ma se be ma bi dada so be so ware wa hwe yi busamu yi unu se ire na wo ka no wa cha no e won krata so na o dada na wutia wa hwe ya bebo futu amede mamo ewie tietie efi se nsem ni nyina no lawyers na mamu adawa
yo
me bi bebre ameka
yo nana yedawase bebre yedawase erade enhyira yedawase nesumi da se me pacho wa wo eye TikTok no mami bi yemfa wo enya sa mami ata mami bi yenko wa wo phone so mefa sisi a wate mami bi yenko.
Good afternoon, Mama.
Mejo so medofo. Mejo so.
And all the honorable esteemed lawyers on the platform.
Yeah, that's
Thank you for giving us a very educative topic today.
Yeah, that's it.
My question is, we did a will. However, they said in UK they don't allow assets in Ghana. We can only will our assets and whatever we have
in UK here.
So that is what we've done. So
hey.
Every day I'm thinking about how am I going to include the assets in Ghana? Since my children have never been to Ghana, they are over 25 years, they've never been to Ghana yet. We just want to put things.
And yes, wabusuafo na be fa lawyer bremu bi ma sister bremu bi.
No family has been ordered to go close to whatever we have.
When you good why are there? Lawyer bremu bi ye no krese wo properties o Ghana untimi fa nka wo will ho wa ha enye.
There be enye ne kre enye ne krese untimi fa wo assets a ewo Ghana e ka wo UK will ho obetimi e de wo assets a ewo Ghana e de account UK will ho just sometimes in nkrofo bi and some lawyers be advise so say all assets ewo Ghana be a separate will FMA ewo Ghana to incorporate sa Ghana assets no. Na yet another will ewo ahase for UK assets. There's a reason why ebi mo ebe advices are they might do that because so we hear one will ewo ahase na e cover with UK assets and ewo Ghana assets na. Why ye said that she be would ni honoma or my year aha probate ni area no. Say almost this certificate in call Ghana. No mo resealing and sana ometimi a dealing with the assets na ewo Ghana no. Intine say we separate we will ewo Ghana. Utimi use sa e honomo will no quickly at the year a honomo enyama. That's the only reason why some lawyers will say yeah, two wills, but most of the time we believe say we have one will to cover both assets are Ewaha and Ghana. There will not be any disputes and to me and problems and by because a be na Ghana will and UK will not conflict or certain areas. Into the nearby say open say will amend it well now they incorporate Ghana assets now. Wait me up lawyer Chikwana wa contact your normal yama. Why?
Enko.
Auntie Abra.
Yes, darling.
Annual chief, less not to map and Michelle when you can not lawyer Daniel can you say, you know, you need a submit meeting idea, custom a war,
traditional will need the mianam cover by you.
And I'm going to say, on traditional will no, I will hope to the sense, say, my father, a piano, a fibia, can be on any family, and in the man in Asia. We share now, or the two didn't say, the fee, as may say, was one, a Busiandia, the old Bushan so yet, Nemadia, and I eat two and Seguso. Na me am no kase so no me mada panyin so also o mama sase o kumase ono na ye waye ye wie na ebuka no no fre bushafo ni nyina de to mo nim se ayi ebi asase wo ase no wo de ade amame enti ebusia e bo meka ono ayi ebusia bo ka wie na otu nsengu so also a traditional year enko bia e te se de ya no wo pepepe
enti de o papa ti asra papa ka ase ne dan na wo so amene ye mfama we ne ye mfama we no wo wu ye no ye de amema omo
e wo sa pepepe.
Oh, okay. Enti obia nkonom nsa ne mu ametwe ho manso
no se busia ni nyina gire mu e wo ho no mo no de tuti e no mo ye tun se kusu no mo e bo e maka wo ba e uteska
lawyer no ye aduma sa
ye adwuma me media me akasa me kasa me media no sa de ba abusuafo nyina wo bi etumi
ene wo wa pa abusuafo no mo ye
asante mamna ono no e wo ho no te se de me akasa
enti wo na wa betena brochire no nso so be ye bantema de no kofa e bia na wo papa abusuafa nyini no oye good
you know me auntie no oye wo na wo kwa no ye de na we no open a year
obia ya we
depend who are na ya kenkan the way ne de akan mamre no ye de to ho no
tina che se me de na me kan no ofo aso se ye adwuma traditional will no
ye adwuma just until say ni pampe so sorry besi na year this was afre family ni nyina sa back asa mo tima awedro etu ono ebusia ni etena se omo boka omo utu se kusa de se de udi ade a no
okay enti bra se wo papa kama abusuafo ni nyina atie na wotu nsa gusu no na wo papa ko ye na wo change na adwen no ye wo de ma wo bi fofora the same edan no wo papa wu ni ye hu se wo we court ne ekofa ba no so ameden ya mese me de be ma me ba kwa akui me nya mfa ma kwa akui me de ama akui a wo de akui a be court ana
no ono de se ono mche se ni krom hene eni ade ade nyina no
ana me so mati asese ni krom hene wo ho na emo wo papa firifie kwa ni krom hene wo ho na yetu nsan guso no wo hene abo kana papa firifie kwa kwanda dwene ho ano si ye me di nsem hunu
abi na ka se eyitimit na adanfo wo de se de no
mati ase o se ye verbal me pese me bebu sa lawyer sesi ya me bebu sa lawyer
me anti de se no
lawyer bra mati de wo kana so ntimi bebu sa lawyer mo se because me ebi to me amete hey me papa wu ye japade bi na nya me dia woti ase nyina ye nim sese ade we ye nua we dia because me papa aka me nua ne kora kotena mu ye adwuma wa ka me papa wu ye court everyday me papa will no se japade na wo de ma me nua no me sister no na nye me sister dia o de me papa atwa U10 e de japade na ma me enso no obi anim se eye ne dia enti lawyer this thing no etimi si e ba sa na maybe the other day busia or man took a year muso name no what the man no ye adwuma kura wom or ye adwuma tima obi anim say ne dia ba owu ye no e court no okay lawyer
ka se wo no wan fa nko ochrocho hye dem na so wan fa nko ememu a enya adwuma no we no wi a ebusia boka
good wo de ne so abekire ye bibi lawyer bra yi de ya wo kan no so papa koda no papa twa U10 no papa ankoye will no ma obi foforo na emomode will ne court akoto court na wo papa ewu na court ne eba will ba say papa wo court o papa wo will wo court na emomo will na wo de ma akwaku no o kan wo hene nanim no wo de saa japade no ama akwasi a de wo tu nsa gu so wo hene nanim wo hene ne ma ne koto wo dwan e de baaye no eni abusuya nyina ne de he ne ebeji atum lawyer Frank obebe mu ana lawyer Daniel ho ana ekasa
but let me say no some problems way in the Emma Ghana and courts no I choked no because of customary issues any way legal issues are a war no because yen papa asem ya okay no ono ne feel say ye gunsa e wo asem na okan no so inti say eda ho but obi e the paper eba paper brings certainty. Paper ni there obi there's no debate, there's no dispute. Acquire to say obi say oh yeah me ho ade okay obi say obi ewu yeah kun ejapade yeah kun de obeye kuna yeah kun de obeye we hu simply because ono si acquire me ho ade yakoye ne ho ade na e bia ya mfa paper bia nto so ya register that document no meanwhile no obi e the certificate aba e the abeche say me die ye me ho ade ware me wo a book mu when na ese or stand intino yes ye were traditional methods answer na well near in yamanyama ye mra na de well ni yamanyama that's ana ye di nyama eja ade ye good sani ade but for me everything I no correct, but everything cause legal problems. And then talk bebre ebeba because say me na me wo honom e na ye de ejapade bi amount aye gu nsa wo so na me nye bia me kwa kwatwe homanso no. So what you say me twe homanso no nti no this is where the problem comes in but other lawyers since wait me actually or my dream.
adwene se san no papa ye will ne ma wo bi a bra yi betimi e de akase wonye court de ani ntum because we twa dwan wa ahemfo anim
See, sir, oh dear, we had days, I did, you know, these are the reasons why we are discussing this topic. Said a bay a bushia for ye be whom as a baby a dream kakra, near move from the Jina be Jina the floor. Yes, true, ne papa bunsani ade ade, but so ye will bones a retro so. Insana obetro chu bibia o se me we amaye ana me japade a ma cheda da ni nyina no saa me we ya me ye eno edi mu etwa ni nyina mu anti for say revocation etwa de waye bia anti the we asisi a waye no eno mum ena ewotumi ese bitimi ache o no ma na emprepi enipa bi de me nua yi kan ewo ho netimi kotwetwe ntokwa ba se na dan e ka no ɛno nti ebi so a wo papa esenka ọba abrichiri ha na Ghana hɔ kora no ɔsan akɔ yɛ nkrataa wadeɛ ɔware obi wɔ nkrataa mu a saa nipa no awɔre wɔ nkrataa mu wɔ kurom ha sei no ebetimi aba sɛ obi de wo papa gu nsa egu ɛde apɔnkye kyɛw ɔde odwan kyɛw nanso mene no wɔ nkrataa wadeɛ Nti nkrataa wade ndi ogina nkrataa wade so no obetimi abeko ejapade no. Nti menu awotie de o ka no you got good reason. But yenhwe hu se wo papa no anye nkrataa will dia na wade dia ene oha bia ni ho. Ye to aso dia odina no aka yetwa egu susana okay. But say o change na adwen no okotwocho gu cancer nkrataa so ana wa
lawyer ye medase why ade wakata bieye medase wate ase ye twa nsa na gya no maami ata kakra maami ata ye nko me pacho ma mo phone no so ni nyina no me mfa mo mfra lawyer
nyame nche da ase
eme
da lawyer phone so nyina ase
me pacho lawyer mo wate
me ni me ku ware wo Ghana no na o wasase ba ko mase wo ba ko nkran na me ye ware wie na mo se ni mi enu nyina o ma fa
Hwa na afa ebusuafo
mo ton asase no ma timi kodi akire no nkuma se de omo twa afoforo ma enkrade no so me de kokoto na no so me nyaaye enti kuma se de na me gina aso se office camera na yensi me tumi si wie enkrade no so me hyase ekodru baby ansana obe family aba Akwantuo na through abuse aware na gu na egu wie ya na oka kire me se ejapade na ewo nu se minim na se me ka se me pebia me nkoto madaka ena na busuafo so frɛ me so me nkofo se mon kan kire na oso mpese obewu a ma on ba ho bi
asemuni
ewu asema bam ena meje akire di se me nya de grammar
aw frɛ lawyer si woni lawyer si nkasa why ye wi abetimi afrɛ lawyer PK lawyer Daniel lawyer Frank lawyer Emi so omo nyina obi abetimi aboa na property so ebe chenso so a ye beku obi yo senior apia ye nko na me pacho ma mo so nyina mo frɛ lawyers na ye wi edo mo nyina numbers betoto ho why omo nyina muni mo dada wo Ghana mo nyina mo frɛ lawyer Pauline mo frɛ wo no me pacho ye nko apia.
No, Pastor, good afternoon.
Yes, darling.
No, Pastor, my question is, Obi Ellen, you have almost a pretty bad 20 years. Obi a born bra. Omo worry a fear how are you? Omo cockles. Obi a born bra like unto so much. I will be a born bra. Na Bema no way that idea. I feel Bema will be an Obano everything as a idea. It was said, do much no so much. Omo be on fan sound. It's your Obama so big Obama or plan so big clear that Padian and I wish everything get as you same by the Padian manana.
Me o wa brochire.
But so I'm but Ghana.
Omo
baba.
Na abusuafo omo ko kremu ajapade ne de na onfa nhwe oba akura na pia.
Mommy, it's a question and then the balance the band the problem the band the between the money ba.
Enti wo pese obusa se aware na gu na one papa ni gya ansa na owu.
I was on the but obi anfa san ko e fi aware.
E engagement a traditional marriage ho.
Traditional marriage.
O ma nware o court.
Dabi.
Enti se ne de enti so ma nware o court de enti na pese ohu. Oba na iklemu ajapade no.
Nti oba no
wo pese hu se ono oba ne tena ye na omo eja ya ware no se papa no wawu oba na mfansa anko na okotena chese ni bufri no otu firifie no okotena ne baby
for 20 years
for say how many years
20 years
ba wa mfansa anko
and
papa na akobo ne bra 20 years no and na oba ni jaya ware no na ejapade no oni be ma ne na yeye
be ma no na yeye but na omo ware na sanfa no
be ma ni dini sika na yeye na wo mo oba ne wa ware na se ansa na be ma ne ye enti oba ma ni fradwuma ba na oba na anu oba nku ni fufuo na ode ama na owi anu asan ba mu no ahye so aka ho ba ni sika nka ho
Because Bema no too kind. Akwantuo mu oba no obeye.
Akwantuo mu no oba ye e no obeye ajapade no lawyer PK bremwan. O se Bema ni too kwan Ghana de na America no too kwan 20 years 30 years 40 no agya no ho nto di sika ba oba no na ye ajapade ne ma no meboa.
Mbashan.
E na Bema na free mu. and Obano episode beje Japadi ni because one financer anko 20 years no monte hoba one financer anko. Enti no momo de mo abusuafo mo so mo de mo na yesi ho se Japadi no oba ne nka ho. E no oba ne so ka ho. Lawyer PK Bremoy.
Think say lawyer Pauline attach on that when it comes to customary marriage separation. Or can be say in Ghana, no let's say via Mantini here, or can say in Ghana, no say yeah customary marriage, na say a separate here, it doesn't make any difference. And I say, or can say it makes a difference. Say if it doesn't make any difference, na on fine sa and call ye they are technically no or no na a but if Ghana mrane chere say as soon as amu be separate no our no good then ontimi nkasa okakodi. But my understanding is say Ghana no separation no any no as far as all fans san and call ye there next enye dey unja ne technically no if that's the case they are then our kwan although onina are separate over 20 years but our really in equally the sanke you krum hanso kra they are separation clearly no it doesn't amount to say onya obenya opekra oware no na the next year utufi onom 50 years down the line oba baka ni obia no obedi because there hasn't been any divorce.
Enan maame no omagya aware 20 years ni maame ne mfansa no emre ne wofa ne back ba ne wofa ne wu ne wofa no ewu owu ye ne maame na baba kese won mfansa ma ye de edaso ya aware traditional marriage enti properties a ne wofa no omoye ye no oba abegine de ebusuafo ne so omo mfa ma no because oni na gya 20 years ni ba won mfansa mai eno no obekire mu se oba ne entitled so wo so oje properties ni bia na ba wo se ne wofa ne wa abrochire ne wofa ne sika no de be ye property no whilst no oba ne wa aware.
So once they are still, there's nothing to evidence the divorce that took place, and we don't even know the type of marriage that they entered into.
Engagement, traditional marriage.
Okay, so mo ye if awaria, then nka onin sakoya, then that will evidence it. So mo also anko kota, then that means say awaria no amba area. Inti mame no, she can bring a claim based on the fact that she's still an existing wife.
Yeah, that's it.
And no say ebusuafo no ntiasia the law makes room for you to take the case to court, and then the court will be able to make a decision for the parties so that there's fairness and then peace can prevail.
Yeah, that's it. Lawyer, nyame aduma 1st of November, first week of November, me no be program. Why? No, you Friday, more time on ye Akwantuo Mu Nsem. Why? Because you hear more education about Ghana. Me nua be maso ate ase nti ko ka kire wabusu ampanyini no wo fa mo nyina say mo nche japade na mama me ni bi why no abre. Why? Oh, of Joe of a japade na yira bre. Yeda masi yeda lawyers mo nyina mo ase. Yeda obi biara ase. Lawyer PK wasama obeka twa to ne fa wo telephone number no akira kwan e madofo ne enko.
Can't chat to one any say yeah that will be assistant or near say I have him sambre na send it be a mecano ABN and common yet na ABM found specifically but if who shares our video yeah will be a when ya a bre and share sa video ye a bit to me abuana amana chenadrin ako bibia na probably what taking it for granted neso na etimi abua oniakono intino asema meka ede atu ye hofo no ye adwuma wo photo solicitors ye immigration law ye wills and probate, yeah, employment, yeah, family law, and a civil litigation. Ope say, obe initial consultation, yeah, the bois community, yeah, sika, your first consultation with us, yeah, sika, offer your number now, you be bookie telephone appointment ama ope say obi hu ye face to face nso a ye betimi ebuki appointment ama ye telephone number 0203 325 7030 yada mu nyina mo ase again so me da lawyers a omo ba program ni nyina so ase
me pa cho yemra wo so na e kire wo kire akwan ene wo mo numbers lawyer me pa cho kasa.
First of all, Meda Obiase, Samut me tune in. Now, that lawyers, Ninya, Nimpenny for we join the program today. Bless you all. It's been very educative, and the American say, knowledge is power. Na ene, just like lawyer PK said, a bit me abie weni, ebiana weni afra kakra, na unim die bebia eda, say a bonimu, papa mu na unim. But ene the information be abano ebe equipiwo to make sure you make the right decisions for your family, for your children, for your spouse. Into Enedia, it's been a fantastic program. Me Dean, the lawyer Amy, me head of practice at Abinell Solicitors. You specialize in immigration, family, and housing. So here, ubetumi abook appointment your landline so 0203 026 0090. But alternatively, ebia upesa unemekasa weekend very urgent. Ubetumi aframe was 07824 705 353. Bless you and have a wonderful weekend.
It's in all things, no, you say, let's give thanks to God. Say, another day, it may share myself for back because this topic, Kabaya said, and then the first time I would see a program, yen share, who depth grow. Na a bit me a long way, aboa ye. So what's ya see or how ni ho, but uwa, hɔ na yana or however. Enti sɛ wopɛ sɛ wowu akyi no wɔ haw bɛba a ɛna na wote aseɛ no watoto wo nneɛma yie na ɛno ne sɛ medeɛ wobusa me a mɛka sɛ twerɛ to hɔ kɔhu lawyers na yɛ will ɛto hɔ will a wonni hɔ a ɛbɛtumi akyerɛ kwan a wopɛ sɛ yɛsie okuro bi wɔ koraa no a wawu no ɔsɛ pɛ sɛ yɛde me kɔ me kurom kɔsie me obi wɔ so a ɔsɛ pɛ sɛ yɛhyɛ me obi wɔ nso a ɔsɛ pɛ sɛ yɛtutu fam na yɛsie me kurom ha owo obetimi akyere mu na nyɛ sɛ afei na abusuafoɔ bi kɔka sɛ yɛnkɔsie wo kurom anaa yɛnsie wo kurom ha yɛnhyɛw anaasɛ yɛnyɛ wo dɛn sɛ yɛtie saa program mu na yɛtumi ne amanfoɔ nyinaa ɛhyɛ ɛbɛtumi aboa ma amanfoɔ ahu sɛ yɛte aseɛ yɛtoto yɛn nneɛma yie sɛ wofi sɛ wawadeɛ agu a na wagu no papa so kamakama ɔde akɔ ɛwɔ nkrataa awadeɛ so a wakɔtwitwam na biribiara didi nti sɛ ɛkyena bi no biribi si a evidence wɔ hɔ sɛ awadeɛ wei egu yɛ yɛda ase yɛda atiefoɔ ase me da ɛne lawyer PK Dan ɛna sɔfo maame mu nyinaa ase sɛ mofa mogua na mo invite nyinaa yɛabɛkyerɛ yɛadwene wɔ ha meyɛ managing director of Mascot Solicitors our office is Enfield EN37SU sɛ wopɛ yɛn a wobɛtumi abuke appointment wɔ 020 33 43 7712. Onyame onhyira mo onyɛ mo kɛse. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Stay blessed. Bye.
Yɛda ɛyɛ lawyers nyinaa ase yɛda lawyer PK ase ye da na se bebre eye Fort Worth solicitors and so jemre no ne yetna se lawyer PK nye easy utim so panigye Saturday so obeba ha se okwaje pe benefit e kira kwan lawyer Emi Eradin Shira wono so so ye busy oba atan ne ono de onko pe benefit wo fie wo ye aduane ne Saturday obehwe ni kuro obehwe ne ma aha ye da na se so wajemre eye Abinel solicitors lawyer Daniel enso so ene wono so Saturday okope benefit e kira kwan enti ono so baby wo bia no ye da na se okwa yie enti ye da na se lawyer Frank, no comment. What talk cry? Oh, already. Mascot solicitors. Aha. Yeah, dana si bebre me pacha. Omo nyina betimi afro omo. Lawyer Pauline. And so YouTube lawyer Pauline. Ghana for you problem or Ghana power. Mr. Wa wo pe lawyer si mu bia number lawyer PK lawyer Emi lawyer Daniel lawyer Frank lawyer Pauline. Dear mommy ana test me. So wo pomo number. Omo nyina eye the same. Omo ye marriages, divorce, properties, rules and whatever they can all testimony omo number me de be ma lawyers me de mo nyina ma se erade nhira mo nkofa krom de okwaje benefit ne de wo kopa yi mo nyina so obi a make sure lawyer Frank wo se wo kware ade be court and also be traditional lawyer PK so no pe Ghana de ne mo benefit wo ho enti ye be kasa wo ne me nkasa na ehu de be ye wo ho etie for me de obi biara se erade nhira mo nya me yadoma ekini kwasie obi ampa asore nkolo ya PK kina kwa asore echina obia nkwa sorry wonni be baabi soma me kanfo eye Flames of Faith Assemblies e dia maw echina nyame yadoma ye start asore 1 pm me patcho 1 pepepepepe bra asore 1 pm o pa asore awrade abasa awrade tumi awrade ngosra nani munyam eye adwuma dia eye Flames of Faith Assembly echina 1 pm ne de mpaibo kese e hia so ikopeje awrade ne franka ne nkunimdie no na aye kese ye hyiamu ewo Elephant and Castle baby the Keddington number 1 Opal Street Padley Seka Hall London XC114AZ nyame yadoma yechna mami hu wa sorry mehia ewo ho erade enhira erade enyam kese lawyer medam nyina amase na wo se kwa me kotoko na erade enhira obi biara mo amentimi afa mu nyina me pacho mo mfre lawyers no me personal number is 075024227999 o frame me a me the lawyers number be mamo erade enhira